Hey everybody, welcome to another show. It sounds like I have something playing in the background, so I have to figure out where this is. Standby one. How do I turn this off? Wow, I got You know what? I bet you it's on my phone. I'm sorry, guys. Standby one. As I'm talking to myself. Hold on. Where is it? Nope. Now I got to figure out what's playing in the background to stop this. There it is. There it is right there. There it is. Gone. Oh my God. Technical difficulties. I just did that to myself. Hey, welcome to another exciting episode of Break the Cycle with DSD. I am your host, Duane. Let me pull up my normal spiel. That was funny. Let me get Keynote up here. Welcome to Break the Cycle with DSD. I am your host, Duane. I am not a therapist, nor am I an attorney. I'm an individual much like you that has been through a tough experience and develop some tips and techniques that help me get through it that I share with you to help you get your life back. Remember, only a licensed professional can diagnose somebody with a personality disorder, and this will kind of fall into our topic later in this conversation today with our guest. So just be careful. The only thing you really have in this is your credibility, and when you start going around diagnosing people, it can easily blow up in your face. If you like what's going on here and you want to support the channel and help me not make stupid mistakes like I just did a minute ago, consider becoming a channel member. Hit the join button, and when you do, you get special badges, custom emojis, names listed in the credits, access to member-only events, and a member-only Discord. If you want to get notified when I go live, you can text DSDLIVE, all one word, to 844-598-0012. That's DSDLIVE, 844-598-0012. If you do it as two words, it won't work. So just throwing that out there. We will have the phone lines open today, so if you want to call and participate in this conversation on false allegations, you can do that by dialing 1-424-373-5483, 1-424-DSD-LIVE. And on that, you know, it's actually, I'm kind of surprised that I was actually able to do this without, in the timeline for this song. So let me bring in the guest. Hey, Les. How's it going?
Hey, how are you? I'm great. How are you?
That was a train wreck. Oh my!
I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Did you like the echo, the 3 or 4 second delay echo? I'm like, I knew I had it playing someplace. Oh my God, what an amateur!
It's just hunting it down.
Exactly. Hey, so for people who don't know, Leslee and I have been compadres for a few years. We've been on each other's channels. I think you were my first guest on my podcast. And every once in a while, I like to bring you in, and we were going to talk about false allegations. But for the people who do not know you, could you tell a little bit about yourself and where they can find you and stuff like that? And I'll pull up, while you're doing that, I will pull up your channel on the screen.
All right. So I am actually a certified life coach, helping people navigate the other side of narcissistic abuse once you've been out, and healing on the other side. And for the last, I don't know how long, I have been covering the Johnny Depp libel trial, because it is exactly what a lot of us have been through. The false allegations and the lies and the hoops that she has jumped through to kind of make her story viable when it's not. And honestly, I didn't think I honestly thought it was going to be a couple of videos, and here I am, neck deep in it, and 150 videos later. But it's a really good teaching tool. It's a really good teaching tool to watch her maneuver.
It's funny because I remember way back when, before you started doing that, we were talking, just offline, and it's like, man, we were both talking about, it's like, we should both cover that.
Yeah.
You did. I think I made one mention of it. So, but you're right though. I mean, it's a really good discussion point on this. And just to be clear to everybody, I mean, this is not going to be a Johnny Depp, Amber Heard video. It's just, there's some points we will use on that. But what I did want to bring up, if I can, hold on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here while I try to pull up the right thing, because I got multiple, oh, no, I guess it did close it on me. Ah, crud. Standby one. I got to reopen this. Gosh darn it. There we go. Hold on a second, man. I swear to God, I'm trying something different. I'm trying to do two different things, but okay. So Now I got to back up. So this is what we were thinking about talking about today. Categories of false allegations. They basically increase in severity and seriousness. And for me, and I'll get Leslee's take on this here in a moment, I kind of break it down into 3 categories of severity. The first being the normal smear campaign to where they proclaim themselves the victim. And they try to basically just undermine you with your family and friends, try to affect your support group. And that's just one thing I didn't put this in the slide. It can be a man or a woman. Don't think that just because of the DSD channel that it's just talking about that. These all follow, they're not gender specific. A man or a woman can do the exact same thing. Would you not agree?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We've seen both.
So well, I tell you what I'll do. I'll go through what these are, and then we'll kind of go back and forth to them. So the second one would be where it just increases a little bit more of just the allegations of emotional, financial, physical abuse, but typically limited to family court. Now, when you say that, you might be like, well, what do you mean just limited to? Well, it's like they're using it for gain to whatever they're trying to get: money, control, custody, that type of thing. And I mean, and technically, I think we were talking about this offline. I think the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp situation kind of fits in this category, right? I mean, it's not, she didn't push it to criminal, but she's trying to use it to get money and assets and resources, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. With blackmail involved and all that. And she just wanted stuff. That's all she wanted. She just wanted stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the third, which is the really just egregious one, is whenever it turns into criminal allegations of abuse, either directly towards the ex, or even in the situation to where they start making allegations that you're physically or sexually abusing your kids. Mm-hmm. And then they're trying to get protective services involved, law enforcement. I mean, obviously then it's going to roll up, because if they get that going, they're absolutely, even though they're not supposed to, they're going to tell everyone else back down through categories 2 and 1 of what's going on. I mean, and this is the horror. Now, for my situation, or not my situation, but the stories I've been covering, the John Mast one is a good example of this. So I'm not sure. Are you familiar with the John Mast story? Have we ever talked about that? Okay. No. Well, when we go back to the category 3 thing, I'll bring up some more on that. It's pretty bad. So let me see. So that's kind of what the discussion points are. And if you want to jump in, I mean, what topic or what did you want to address first?
Oh, well, where to start, right? Where to start, because anyone honestly can find themselves in this situation where they are being falsely accused of whatever it may be, and where we don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to navigate it. And, the first response is usually complete and utter shock, and then complete and utter anger. And so I think, unfortunately, this is the problem, is that you don't realize that this can actually happen until it actually happens. I have many a client that has been falsely accused, and they said, I had no idea that this was even a possibility. And I had no idea that this could get this bad. And I had no idea that my children could be taken away from me, all because this other person said whatever they said.
Hey, let me ask you this, because I mean, I would assume that most of your audience are your coaching people are women. They're
not. They're men.
Oh, okay. So that's what I was wondering. I mean, are the targets of those false allegations, are they typically men, or do you have some women as well?
I've had some women, definitely had some women, but for the most part, it's men, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But that's just my experience. That is just my experience, and who's
conversely, I've had some female coaching clients, and some people they just comment on the videos who are moms who have been caught up in this situation. So I guess the main takeaway from this, guys, is you have to be prepared. Well, see, it's hard because until you, like you just mentioned, until you are experiencing it, you won't believe it. I mean, hell, I didn't believe it. I mean, I was firmly in the category 1, category 2, what we were talking about before. Mm-hmm. But even when that happened, it blew my mind. I could not believe that this person was just making crap up. And sometimes it was just taking stuff out of context, right? I mean, that's the other hard part, is whenever somebody takes a piece of a story and then they spin it a certain way to where there's some truth to it, but there's some lies to it as well, right? I mean, I think that's pretty common. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree, because there has to be a thread of truth. There has to be a thread of truth. So say they're compiling their story, and they've got maybe text messages or something, and they take one text message and they'll take it and they'll say, hey, well, they won't show what was before or after, but they'll just take this one piece, and you may have been angry. You may have said something that you regretted immediately after you press send.
Yeah.
But they'll take it and then they'll twist it into something. And then they'll say, well, after this, they said it to me, offline. Like, they said it to my face. Because there is that thread of truth right there, and you say, well, yeah, I said it. They're like, well, what else did you say?
Right.
So they can actually make you look like a horrible, horrible person. Meanwhile, that was just a horrible, horrible second that you were having. And it could have been done and over with, and everything else could have been pleasantries after the fact, after that text message. We just don't know. But they will take something and they'll take a sliver of truth, and then they'll blow it up into this thing. Or what they'll do is they'll make sure that no one else was there, so no one else can corroborate their story. It is A against B. And it's whoever gets to that finish line first, whoever gets to the police, the lawyers, the whomever first is almost the winner. And I think a lot of people know this. And I am convinced, and as we said, we're not going to turn this into a Johnny and Amber thing, but I'm convinced Amber's lawyer told her, hey, the way to get the way to get him out of the home and you into it is if you do this, because she was trying to get the locks changed a month before and she couldn't because it was never her penthouse. So that you can see the line of happenings. She was looking to change the locks. She couldn't. All of a sudden a month later, this thing happens and he's locked out.
Yeah. And I don't think normally the client and the attorney are sitting there going, wah, ha, ha, ha. I think it's more of, well, if there's abuse going on and you're trying to get the locks changed to protect yourself, and there's this pattern of behavior, if you were experiencing that, and the problem is with a toxic person who is hell-bent on winning, then they go, oh, well, there was this one time, and the next thing you know, you're dealing with this. I mean, I think people think sometimes that it's, people are telling their ex what I'm trying to say is, I think sometimes people think that if it was not for this evil attorney, these evil friends, whatever, that they wouldn't do it. And I think most of the time it's the opposite, where these people are giving them advice on scenarios that they're basically being told. And then the person is saying, oh, okay, well, this person is saying I could do this, and they just justify it to themselves. And then later they'll say, well, I never meant to do that. It was just the attorney told me to do that, right?
Well, that's funny. That's what Amber said. The lawyers made me do it. Oh, the lawyers are making me do all of this.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, it's not funny, but
yeah,
I mean, because I think that's what typically happens. And because I've had a lot of people who said what I just mentioned before. It's like, oh, well, if it wasn't for these friends, if it wasn't for that family member, if it wasn't for this. And I'm like, look, your ex is doing whatever the hell they want. And all they're doing is they're surrounding themselves with people who are enabling it and cutting people off who are telling them that it's a problem. They are not doing anything they don't want to do. And everybody listening to this, you need to understand that when you get caught up in this, and you're dealing with a false allegation, even at this lower level category, your ex more than likely is not being manipulated by someone else to destroy you. They're doing that on their own free will. Yeah. And they might be finding people who will be flying monkeys, but that's the reality is it is them, because In a normal situation, someone would say, no, Billy is not that way. Or Susie, no, Susie's a good mom. You know, no, I'm not, that's not what happened. You know,
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell, like, even if even if you're telling someone, well, you said they did this, well, that's out of context. A good human wouldn't even go there. Right.
Right. Yeah. And the thing is, most people are good.
Yeah.
Most people are good. It's just, unfortunately, the bad ones and the manipulators are usually the loudest. And unfortunately, like, that's why I like, quiet, tame people, because they, they're kind of riding under the radar. And those are the people that are, they're the majority, but they're quiet. So they
It's
don't get
fun.
hurt.
It's funny you say that, because I've had a lot of people, who say, well, this is an epidemic, of narcissism and stuff. And I said, well, you gotta remember that if the people who find themselves in my channel, your channel, they're not searching for, wow, I have such a great, wonderful co-parenting experiences, how to, invite my ex, whatever. It's not that we're not drawing in people on these channels that are having good experiences.
Right.
It's a singularly focused thing where we're basically consolidating a bunch of people who are going through a really tough time. And I believe what you were just saying is, I don't think that every divorce and every separation turns into a total crap show. I think there's a lot of them that people can get along. And I don't know if we was talking to you, but I'm trying to remember. There was a story I was hearing about where a couple, they got along, and they the new, actually it was an article I think maybe you did send me, where I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember. No, I got an email from a person or a comment where for 15 years everything was great. He was able to get along with the ex and the new husband, and they co-parented together. Everything was great, and then the last little bit it's turned to shit. And I have a reason why I think it probably is. But I guess what I'm just saying is there's some situations where things can be okay. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of talking in circles on that.
No, but I know a lot of couples that have children that they've separated, and they actually get along better now that they're not under the same roof. They co-parent like champs, and they respect each other. They respect each other's new partners. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. And it's possible. It's just both people need to be on the same page when that happens. One person can't be the one wanting it while the other person just wants to be, a pain in the ass about it. Both people have to have the same goal in mind of, okay, we're still going to be a family. We're still going to be a unit. We're just going to be separate, and we're going to respect whoever we bring into this unit. We will add, like, they have a game plan.
Yeah.
Like a methodical game plan, and it's possible. It's just, you gotta, ages ago, before I got married, here's where I wasn't paying attention to the universe sending me messages. I was at work and actually did a video on this. I forget which channel it was on. That a guy I used to work with said, my nan told me, don't marry someone that you are not okay divorcing. And on the surface, that doesn't make sense. But after going through my divorce, I was like, well, there it is. I was terrified to break up with him, because the consequence of breaking up with him was much greater than the consequence of me being miserable and, going through that every day. That the punishment was much, much more. And as I was sitting there one day going through my divorce, and I'm like, damn it, there it was. And that's the universe telling me, right here, this is it. This is the thing you need to hear. But a lot of people would just shrug that off, because we don't go into marriage thinking about divorce. We don't.
True. Yeah.
But we probably should.
It's weird you say that, because I never thought of that, right? I mean, and in my situation, I figured that it would be amicable. Yeah. So when it finally, after 20 years, when it finally, fell apart, I never anticipated the crap show that was that was coming, But I will say there were times where it's just things were bad and you make excuses for it. It's like, well, I'm just angry today, or I'm just, the person's having a bad day, or you make excuses for it.
Mhm.
And it's, I mean, I guess it's part of the same thing. You just kind of, you don't want to deal with the consequence of, I guess, pressing that button. So you just keep letting it go. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me, it looks like we have a phone call. So let me
Ooh.
just, before we do that, hey, can you see the comments? I think there's a way that you can see the comments. So if you see something that someone says, I forgot to acknowledge all the people who are hanging out with us today. But I am
So many
scrolling
great
through.
people.
Yeah,
So
we got
many
a lot
great
of people.
people.
Just if you
Yeah.
guys have something you want me to see on the
Oh, there they are.
live chat, just do at DSD, or you can do at oh, you're not, technically you can't do at Leslee because she's not logged into the show, so her name won't
Oh,
be
I
there. So
am.
just tag me.
I'm watching. I'm watching on my other screen.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, then you can tag her. Let's see. I'm just trying to look through a couple of what's going on. Let's see here. Wise Chat Manager says, beware of divorces that contain gag orders. Often it's used to cover up the nonsense that was allowed to prevent you from seeking justice. And actually, I mean, not to bring up Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, but originally in their divorce, wasn't there a gag order initially that, nobody could talk about anything?
Yes, there was. Now, I will say this. I have periodically had pangs of what am I doing? Like am I voicing for the correct side? Because
Right,
we
right.
never, like I've had those questionable moments of am I doing the right thing here? What am I doing? But I've also said, like, if I'm wrong, I'll say, holy crap, I was wrong. I was wrong. There was a gag order. Now, the thing is, Johnny's a very private man. And the only thing I can, the only thing that helps me sleep at night for covering this is that he is a private man and maybe he just didn't want his business out there. Like he
Right.
spent 50 years and no one really, like, there's a lot of people out there who didn't even know he had children. That's how private he is. So just making sure that, his marriage and the crumble of his marriage wasn't out there as well. So that makes sense when it comes to him, but at the same time, the gag order is questionable, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying that he did it. I'm definitely not saying he did it just, before anyone
Well,
comes for me.
and
Just
this
saying it's you
and
gotta
this is
look
a
at
good
all
point.
sides.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before we went live that part of the problem with this with the allegations. And let me just pull this slide back up. Part of the problem about allegations is unless you know the person 100%, right? If
Yeah.
you grew up, I mean, somebody 100%, there's always that doubt. And I think you got to be really careful what side you pick, especially in real life when people are telling you things. And see, part of the problem is a lot of us get triggered. I hate using that word, but we emotionally, charged, I guess, when something hits close to home with us,
Yeah.
and so it makes it really easy for somebody who, if they're, whatever their story is, if it somehow has an emotional impact and you either are generally going to believe them or not, you're going to fall into that category. What I would say, be very careful of the drama that you sign up for in real life and online,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, because I think it's so easy to get caught up in it. I mean, I know I have. I mean, I can look at things in my past where someone would tell me something and I would have an emotional response associated with it because of my own past. And I'll tell you, my responses changed from the time, before I was married to when I was married to then my divorce. I've had different reactions to things as a result of my own personal experiences. I think the other issue on that, I'd love to hear your thought on this, is be careful of getting emotionally involved in, like, even the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation, because if it's helping you process your own experience and it's positive, great. If it's not, freaking get away from it. Just stop
it.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about
Absolutely.
that?
Yes, I agree. Now, I did find that because I have ripped that case apart from beginning to end, I've ripped it apart to
Yeah.
see where the holes are, to see where the lies are, to see where things weren't adding up. And I found that to be very cathartic for me because I couldn't do it with my own. So I'm like, okay, well, if I can't do it with my own, a little bit of me is getting justice every time I find a lie, every time I find an inconsistency. It's justice for me, and it has nothing to do with Johnny. Like that's the thing; it has nothing to do with that. It's all about me and my own closure, almost.
That, you know what? That's a perfect example of what I was just let me put back over here,
Yeah,
of what I was just talking about. Is if you know, if it's a positive thing,
yeah,
fine. Keep on
yeah,
with it. You know, but as soon
yeah.
as something, I mean, even I had somebody on my channel the other day who's like, you know, hey, you keep talking about this certain thing, and you know, and it was really helpful, and now it's not. I don't know if I had a chance to respond to the person, but what I'll say now is that, you know, I've picked for my channel to focus on the early days of this because I know how hard this is and how dangerous of a time this is at the beginning
Mhm,
stages. So I've
mhm.
made the decision to help people in that first little, to go from that initial shock to the validation. And I completely understand that one of two things happens after that. Either you completely heal and this information is no longer valid,
Right.
or you're at a point where you're still healing, but this is information, or the way this channel is set up, is no longer serving you for that. And maybe I should say this more, is when it gets to that point, it's okay to move to something else. It's okay to, you know, if you're working with a therapist, or if you're like, hey, you know what, this isn't really serving me to get where I want to go, and now you need
Mhm.
to go to something different, whether it's
Right.
religion or spirituality or whatever, and that's all right,
Mhm. Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, and well, that's the thing. Like we've set up our like the way we do things so that hopefully you come in, you get what you need, and then you leave.
Exactly,
Yeah, like
exactly.
we're not anticipating that people are going to stay forever. We hope you don't, well, for my other channel, I really do hope you stay forever. But for my main channel, I don't expect people to hang around. If we have done what we set out to do, what our intention was to set out to do, then people will come and they will go. And
You
they
know
will
what?
leave in a much better place than
A-
what they came in.
And what you just said is, that's the reason why you have a separate channel, and that's the reason why
Yes.
I have a separate channel, because I think we all
Yes.
would like to. I mean, I personally would like people who move beyond the DSD stuff. If I can maintain a contact with them via, you know, my camping channel, or
Yeah.
you know, different things, just to see how they're doing, I think it's great. You know,
Yeah.
so I do want to hit real quick because we got a couple super chats. Our super sticker from Michelle.
Oh.
Oh, crud. It says it's the pair character stretching arm forwards, raising his thumbs up. I love, you know what? I almost like it whenever, because this interface makes it like that. It doesn't show it. It just says it. I love reading it because it's so silly. I mean, it's to say thank you so much for that, Michelle. I appreciate it. And then there was another one. Let me, where is it at? It popped up. Merge did a super chat and says, hi from the UK. Started celebrating my good outcome in court and an end to 8 years of false allegations and endless litigation. Big thanks to DSD. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Let me do this. Congratulations, Merge. I actually spoke to him the other day,
Oh.
and he finally was able to get shared care. He's in the UK, so shared care and everything resolved. And part of the problem, I think, on his situation was the COVID created extra drama. And
Yes.
unfortunately, a narcissistic, toxic person, undiagnosed, right? I mean, just making an
Yeah.
assumption, you know,
Yeah.
which kind of ties in with the topic today.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
the reality is that the pattern of behavior of these folks is, if they lose control for an instant, they will make your life a living hell. And which is
Yes.
what he was experiencing for a little bit. So
Yes.
congratulations on that. Did you see any other comments you wanted to hit before I go to the caller? Uh,
Um, I did just want to say hi to a few people that I saw. I want to say
Absolutely. Go for it.
hi to Sunshine and Scandies on a mission. I just wanted to say hi to you. Um, just T Fits. I'm assuming you're one of Duane's, but hello, hello. So many amazing people, so many amazing people here. But I just wanted to quickly say hi to some of my peeps. Thanks for popping over,
Absolutely.
guys. Thanks for popping over. I love it.
All right, so I am going to, if I hit the right button, I'm going to bring up the first caller on line 3. I'll go, if I hit this right, and make sure I unmute it. And it did not take, so that didn't work. So I guess my buttons didn't work.
Uh-oh.
Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane.
Hey, how you doing?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Good. Yeah. So first off, I just want to say congratulations for, I guess the guy's name was Merge, 8 years.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And getting past that, it is kind of sad in the sense that, we're celebrating that, but really 8 years is too long. It's totally unacceptable. I don't know what, this is what they've allowed to happen. But yeah, that's good. It's over, but 8 years is a long time.
It is, man. It is.
The reason why the reason why I'm calling is basically we're talking about false allegations. I'm back in Supreme Court tomorrow. So I figured I'd call in. And if I knew what I knew, now, things would be a lot different. And I think that's like a lot of people maybe in the audience. So I really appreciate what you do, Duane. So I've dealt with false accusations for a long period of time, to the point, it's been at least 4 years. Accusations where I'm out of the town. She makes an emergency court hearing where I've got to come back into town to say, I'm gonna kill her. The kid's gonna get killed. Blah blah blah. To the point where the judge actually says, enough, right? Enough of this. But rarely, because again, I'm going back into Supreme Court. My question is, if I've dealt with the ministry 3-4 times, nothing has ever come about of it. I've dealt with the police 3-4 times, nothing has ever come about it. No criminal record, there's been nothing proven. There's no rhyme or reason. At some point, does somebody, because I've never seen any accountability, at some point, does anyone ever step in and say, hey, listen, like I know you did a previous show on, I didn't get to watch the whole thing about someone that was doing false allegations. But I guess my frustration is I have 50-50, and she wants 60-40 minimum. And now the two big things that we're going to Supreme Court is, one, she wants to have all decisions on health and medical for the kid. And the other one is changing how we exchange the kid. Right? Yeah. I know I'm a little bit rapid fire and I'm all over the map, but my point is, it's very simple thing that she's asking and we can deal with it, but she just piled on and on all these false allegations. And my lawyer actually just said, listen, you don't need to respond to 400 allegations where
exactly.
If she got a bad parking spot at the mall, it's my fault. If she went and got her ticket for running a red light, it's my fault. Like, it's very tedious stuff, right? Yeah. Her bicycle went missing. It's my fault. Like, she actually puts that in a Supreme Court. So in your experience and your guest experience, is a Supreme Court judge in tune enough with family law to be like, hey, listen, like, this is information overload. You're basically throwing anything in there. Like, I have a little anxiety about tomorrow, but I don't, based on my history of having 50-50, I've dealt with this before. Mm-hmm. I'll let you talk because you can see I'm kind of just rapid firing.
No, it's fine. And you're not in the United States, right? You don't have to say what country, but
no.
Okay.
No, and I'm tired. It feels paralyzing. It's just exhausting dealing with it. And when I hear the celebration for 8 years, it is something to celebrate. But let's be honest, that's 8 years that, it is exhausting. It's paralyzing, and it really shouldn't be like that. 8 years.
You're
right?
absolutely right, man. So, Leslee, do you want to hit it first?
Well, one would hope, and I'm so sorry you're going through this. I'm so sorry. The nerves must be just racked going in for tomorrow. I would hope that sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as someone that, in your profession, and even Duane knows personally, when you go through this, it not only just affects you personally, it affects everyone around you. You know, they can feel your energy. They can feel that you're on edge. Yep. Unfortunately, you know, you do have a shorter stance with people. Because it's in the back of your mind. You don't have that extra freedom to, sometimes you feel like you can't even breathe. You know, it's like, come on, you know, I thought we were past this when a Supreme Court judge told you, don't come into my courtroom, you know, with these false allegations. And then because in my mind, I've never seen any actual, I don't want to use the term slap on the wrist because that's not a term you want to use in a Supreme Court, but I'm just saying I've never seen any accountability.
Well,
right?
Do you want to jump in or you want me to do it?
I was watching something not a while ago about accountability for people who do the false allegations, because I have a lot of clients that say, wait, like, when does their punishment come? Like they're being punished. Our caller's being punished. Our gentleman who just got out after 8 years, he was being punished for 8 years. You're being punished. And then you wonder, well, the truth has to come out, right? The truth has to come out and there has to be a repercussion for them. Like, where the hell is karma for them? And I did hear that in California, at least, that if you are caught doing false allegations, especially when it's to keep the other parent away from children, you can actually lose access to your children. You can lose everything. But the thing is, I think you might have a bonus on your side that the judge already said, don't come back with this nonsense. And yet they still do. Like there's a mentality there like that of entitlement of, you know, you're not even in town. That's the problem. You're not even in town. And all of a sudden everything is your fault. It's impossible. It's impossible.
Well, and I agree with that. And of course we supply that inside the Supreme Court documents, but it's two parts, right? One is in where I live, every time you go to Supreme Court, there's a chance you're going to get a different judge, right? That's one thing. Yeah. They do look at that as an example, but the reality is in family court, you're really playing Russian roulette because it could take you don't know what kind of judge you're going to get. You could get a judge that is today they're having a great day. Oh, today they're going golfing after, you know, today they're having a miserable day, whatever. It doesn't matter. Right. But you're really playing Russian roulette. And part of the process is, I will say she's got one of the best lawyers in the city. Very, very very good at what he does. But when you were talking about earlier about emotional responses, even strategically from a lawyer's perspective, what they'll do is they'll put stuff in affidavits trying to emotionally rattle you. Right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's evil. It's evil.
Even if, like for example, even if it's not a possibility, and they say, well, we're going to bring your neighbor on the stand as a witness. They might not even spoke to your neighbor, but you see that in the affidavit, and it kind of is a mind fuck, right? Yeah. That's the kind of games these lawyers play. But my question, I guess I'm kind of venting, which I really appreciate, but I do have that question in my head that it never ends. Like you would think that the first time that this happened, and she gets coached by the lawyer, and they also enable it. Like that whole agenda of, and sorry, go ahead.
No, what I was going to say is you're right, and they don't stop until there's some pain point. And you've probably often heard me talk about the fact that the sad reality in family court across the planet is, for the most part, people in this situation, she has nothing to lose. That's the appearance, right? You know, she hasn't been held accountable. Yeah. She really hasn't had her hand slapped. Nothing has really happened. Nothing. So they keep pushing. Now, the problem is, and this is the reason why, you know, we keep hearing, like even Alex Falcone, it took him 8 years to get his situation resolved, merged 8 years for him. You know, the part of the issue with that is it takes a long time for someone to expose themselves that they're really a problem, because initially they're going to get a pass because they're going to be, it's like, okay, well, they're just angry. Everybody in family court hates everybody. So, you know, we're not going to lay down the hammer, especially on the mom. It's typically, it seems like stereotypically what'll happen is they'll give the mom a pass and they'll hammer the dad. But I will say, I've seen it the other way, where when the dad is doing what your ex is you're saying your ex is doing, it seems like they get a pass sometimes too. It's like narcissistic people have a unique ability to slime through this whole thing and squiggle through it. And I'll give it to Les for it. So I just want to say one last thing, and that is the judge has said those things, basically is acknowledging it. Unfortunately, you just have to kind of keep taking the deep breaths, showing up, not making the mistakes, and wait until she finally flames out enough to where they say, okay, we're done. And this tomorrow might be the day, and it might not be the day. Leslie, what were you going to say?
Mm-hmm.
I will say though, the cojones on this lawyer that she's got, who's already been told, do not come back with this nonsense. Like, you need to stop this. And the lawyer still goes. So you got to wonder, at the end of the day, the lawyers are there to get paid. And there are very good lawyers out there that are not in it for the dollar bill. They're actually in it to help people. I will say that they're out there, and there's many. But they're there for dollars, and if they can get you to keep going and keep going, so maybe that her lawyer is just like egging her on. We don't know, but I will say that I did a video on this not too long ago on why the narcissist doesn't seem to ever get punished, because we feel like we're getting hammered every time we take a breath, and they're just out living life, doing whatever on everyone else's dime, not having to do anything. And it's because of their lack of guilt. It is their lack of guilt.
Yeah, well,
it's the energy. It's the energy of no guilt.
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to get too much. I mean, I took up enough time, but there's a lot of that. Like, I can quickly just respond and say, from the get-go, we got the day that I came home from my mom's funeral, who passed away of cancer. She was in bed with her coworkers, so she had no shame. Sorry. And then on top of that, like, I don't get it because we're past that. That's 4 years now. And then on top of that, as you said, with the lawyers, right? He didn't even show up. He sent his assistant the first time to the Supreme Court. So yeah, he's in it for that. And then my attorney said himself, he's like, there's no way a respectable lawyer would push all this through an affidavit. So he's most likely going to have his assistant show up. So it's like, this placating between her and the lawyer really should not be accepting this, but he kind of is, because it's an open funnel for fun, I feel, but it still doesn't make it right, because it doesn't. Me. And lastly, Duane, I just want to add, the reason why I got 50-50, which in the world, it should be 50-50 by default. Unfortunately, we don't live in that world. Yeah. But what happened was, it was a 60-40 situation, and the lawyer invited me up to his office after hours when I hadn't seen my son for a month, and said, if you sign this piece of paper, this separation agreement, you'll walk out of here with your son. I was desperate. I signed that. No. You know what happened?
Yeah.
Sir? I challenged that. And because I challenged that, they gave me the 50-50, because that's the kind of lawyer that he was. You cannot take a 4-year-old up to a law firm after hours, bribe them, say, hey, you can have your son if you sign. I didn't know that, right? Like I said from the beginning of this call, if I knew what I knew now, I'd do things different.
And
all right. Thanks a lot, guys. I kind of got some things off my chest, but I do have anxiety for tomorrow, because it is what it is, right?
Yeah. Just try to take deep breaths on it. And I mean, here's the thing, dude. If I was going to court tomorrow, I'd have anxiety too. I mean, what you're feeling is not uncommon for people who've been through this, I mean, and so just hang in there. And if you can send me a note tomorrow, just drop me an email. I'd like to know how it goes.
Thanks a lot, Duane, and thanks to your guests. And the other thing too, I was watching a video of yours, and even my lawyer, I don't know what your thoughts are in representing yourself, but even like, you've been through this your past, where you tell your lawyer these things and they just don't really listen. They're just like, they show up, and like you said, you'll get handed a note on the spot or whatever. But I appreciate you taking my call, Duane, and thanks again for your guests. And you can jump onto other calls. Thanks.
Thanks for calling.
No, I just want to say that caller, you're in my prayers for tomorrow.
Oh God, it's so, the caller hit a couple. I mean, he hit a lot of good points, and I think so. I was seeing some of the stuff in the chat, and I wish I would have pulled it up, but absolutely correct. This shouldn't take 8 years. Oh. And I'll often say that we all have every right to be angry and bitter about what we've been through. And we do. The problem is at some point you got to make a decision. Do you go down that path and it will corrupt your life and really cause more problems? Or do you try to find, the positive out of it? And it's really tough because sometimes it's hard to find the positive in your life. I mean, sometimes, like for me, it's just like finding something simple, like just some quiet and peace, nice music, maybe a nice cup of coffee, and just to be able to kind of calm myself down. And I mean, that's in some ways, that's kind of sad whenever you think that you're trying to find any little bit of peace and positiveness out of your life, but I mean, you have to, because if you don't, this crap will corrupt your soul.
Absolutely. Yes, it will. It can grab you and take a hold of you and not let you go. It has to be a conscious decision, a firm intention to say, this is going to be something that makes me better.
Yeah. Anyways, I appreciate the caller calling in. We got a couple other callers. Let me look through the comments, because I know there was some support and comments for that guy when he was talking. I'm trying to look to see if I can see anything I want to highlight. Again, if you want to tag me, that makes it a little bit easier. I see a lot of conversations amongst the peoples. Did you see a comment that you wanted to highlight?
No, because I don't have like my proper glasses on to read that far away. But I would like to say hi to Linda A. I see you there, Linda. I see you. Hi, sweetheart.
Nice. Okay, let's see here. We got another caller, and we'll go to line 4. Let's see if my button works this time. Hello, and welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane, how's it going? It's Borna Nemesis.
Hey, Borna, how are you doing today? What's new in your world?
I guess if I could, I'd like to give a piece of advice that I recently just got to the last caller.
Sure.
I did a deep dive into like how to change the laws in my state to make false allegations illegal, and came across this website called pas-intervention.org. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
No, actually I haven't.
But it has, I ended up joining it, and it has a lot of state-specific resources, like legal resources. And I emailed extensively over the weekend with Joan Claus-Zannard, the founder, and she recommended one thing to me for when I take my wife to civil court for either custodial interference or coercive control or something like that. And she recommended I get my therapist to write a letter stating like it takes me a while to make decisions, and like my executive functioning is a little slowed down in all the false allegations. And I said, well, what would ADA accommodations do for me? And she wrote, the point is to level the playing field by allowing you to have as many breaks as you need, extra time to respond, and an ADA advocate to help keep you organized and find information. For example, after the other side has spoken, usually you're all hyped up and you spend all your time in court defending what they just said, instead of taking a break and looking at what you want to address. And she says, address what you need to address, and then if you have time, go and defend against what they said.
That is
actually found it to be really helpful.
Interesting idea. So in case anyone doesn't know, ADA, American with Disability Act, and there's specific laws on that. So that's an interest. I've actually talked to some other people who are kind of dealing with not the severity. I mean, like for instance, let me see if I can pull this up. I mean, your situation is more, and when we're talking about the categories of false allegations, your situation is the category 3. Basically, the person, your ex, is trying to use the allegations of criminal abuse and trying to use that to control the playing field. But that is an excellent idea about trying to, if you got a diagnosis with having problems with this, which everyone would, because the stress and anxiety is going to be through the roof, and have you tried that yet to use the ADA? Did you, avenue? Have you tried that yet? Did you hear me? Did I lose you, Borna?
No, I'm here. Have I tried that? No, because I thought you were talking to Joni.
No. I was talking to you.
I have not tried because that's what I'm going to try when I'm representing myself pro se in civil action.
That's a great idea.
Which I need to. I just put in another request to find out exactly how many complaints have been made against me. I know there's at least 8, but the Guardian ad litem told me that there are actually more.
Right.
That they never picked up. And I got the same thing going with the local police department. 5 reports have been made, but according to the last police officer I dealt with, he came to court last time. He said, I walked through the station and dropped you and your wife's name, and I was shocked at the number of police officers. Oh, she came in and talked to me. I told her to get out of here.
Yeah.
So hope I'm able to get that for civil action.
Oh yeah.
For a consequence, and also to prove like the tens of thousands of dollars I've had to spend defending against these allegations.
Exactly.
So,
no, that's and you have to find, see, that's the problem with this until and we were talking about this before, until you can find a way to where the person making all these allegations feels some pain. There's no reason for them to stop, because it's not a negative. I mean, one, they don't care how it's impacting the kids. So they're not looking at, how little Timmy and little Johnny are dealing with it. They don't care. All they're looking at is it helping me win, and is it low risk to them? And it is, but if you do something like this and they start having to pay a cost, either one, they lose complete custody, like Leslie was talking about, where, they play this game so much that the courts finally just say, okay, you're done. We're giving full custody and full control to the other person, or some other type of consequences. I mean, unfortunately, you're stuck in a situation that you have to, because, you've had numerous occasions where you thought, okay, fine. She swung for the fences. She missed. It's now over. And what you've realized is it's not over. She keeps trying to see if maybe at some point you'll either make a mistake or some new person will believe her and side with her. And it's effing horrible is what it is. It's evil and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And actually, definitely the reason why I called. Speaking of new people that believe her, my son is 6. We actually do sign him up for football, and after I found out that the principal of my son's school told me that after the last temporary restraining order, my wife actually went in and told him in detail about the sexual abuse allegations, and he kindly agreed to call the supervisor at TCF, who told him that, it's our position that the wife is coaching the kids and using the children as pawns to gain the upper hand of the divorce. And just because I was worried that my son would be subject to some people on the football team saying negative things about me, because there were 2 weeks where I couldn't go to any practices or games, I asked the coach last week if he would do the same, and the coach said, why would you want me to do that? Why would you want me to do that? And I'm like, well, so you get the truth from the only source that's like got the authority to give you the truth. And he said, you know what? You're a creep. I don't think you're a man. I think you're a little bitch. I think you're, and I was like, whoa, I did not expect that at all. And and in retrospect, there are a lot of things I wish I could have said, like, well, what reason would you possibly have not to get the truth from DCF? Like, have you been pulling a Jerry Sandusky this whole time? Or
the problem
like
with
that?
it, let me just interject, because what I want to just say on this is that, one, you don't know what other people's personal stories are, right? So it could be that your story somehow hits close to him for a variety of reasons. Maybe, his mom did the same thing. Maybe there's some truth to it, whatever. Going forward, unless somebody is asking you, if somebody is confronting you with false allegations and saying, hey, I think you're a piece of crap and I believe everything your ex says, I could see in that situation saying, hey, look, okay, Bill, here's the deal. You know what? I'll sign a piece of paper to where you could talk to CPS, because they said that they would talk to you and talk to anybody who wanted to know, and you can talk to them and get the truth. And other than that, I'm done talking about this. We're here for, like in this situation, it's a discussion we shouldn't have. I think the problem is you got to be really, I think a lot of us fall into this category, even when it's a lower level situation, not as significant as yours, to where you want to defend yourself and you want the most amount of people to understand that you're telling the truth and that you're being smeared. But if they're not ready to hear that, you potentially hurt your credibility, right? I'm not saying that your actions specifically cause that response to that guy, but I mean, it's one of those things. And this is the thing that's fucked up about our situations, is we have to constantly be trying to play this real-time analytical game to figure out where someone's at on what we can say, what we can't say, whether you hold back, whether you share a little bit more information. And that's emotionally exhausting in and of itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
I like due to that reaction from him, I decided and communicated it to the guardian ad litem for my kids. Like, look, I do not feel comfortable going to football anymore. Yeah. I'm gonna check out some other sports. And the guardian ad litem tried to convince me otherwise, but I'm like, dude, like unless you're telling me like I have to go to football and feel like a leper and cheer on a coach who spoke to me in this way, I'm not going to do it. So
the only difference, and this is the reason why I think that, okay, I understand what you're saying, and I've had situations where I've felt the same way. However, just think about this for a moment. If you don't go, your ex is going to turn around and tell your kids that you don't care about their events. And they're going to use it against you. It's going to be used against you no matter what. But so what I would say is, if you could go and you could wave at your kid playing and stay away from everyone else and just don't get up in the drama, that would be a victory to you. However, if it's too much, if the stress and anxiety is too much and it puts you at risk, or it screws your mood up for a week, then I would agree with you. So it's kind of, I understand what the gal is saying, and I know why they're saying it. They're saying, hey, show up, focus on the kid, even though they're not saying it this way. So that way, little Timmy, because I'm not going to use the real names, little Timmy knows that dad's there and is enjoying watching him. But the caveat with that is if the cost emotionally is too high to you, then don't go. Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts on that, Leslee?
Yeah. Well, I already decided the cost is too high to me, and I actually took my son to a new sport in a different town, and my son had a great time.
There you go. Then you found a solution.
Yeah.
So, but I guess as far as Leslee, I'd like to ask you, like, when it comes down to it, and I'm sure every situation is different, but given the fact that these like criminal false allegations keep coming up, is it better to create my own positive community, like apart from my wife and her negativity and false allegations, or is, in your opinion, is it better to deal with the negative community?
The only way it would be better to deal with a negative community is if it had, zero impact on you. And there are some people, I don't think I would be one of them, who can deal in that environment. I'm not. If I was you, I think what you're talking about, because it puts it more in your comfort zone. And instead of focusing on constantly looking at it, at the corner of your eye, wondering who's looking at you going, wow, this guy's believe in the allegations or whatever, you just get out of it. I mean, I think that if it's doable, I mean, obviously the sad part is as your kids get older, if you stay in sports, that's not going to be a sustainable way of doing things, right? Because at some point there's just not going to be enough time. When they're younger, you can do what you're doing. So my advice to you on this, it would be to do what feels right for you, that draws more peace into your life. And Leslee, let's give Les a chance to kind of chime in on this.
Yeah, I am not in the state of my life where we don't have to do anything we don't want to. And if it makes us feel uncomfortable, and if it's going to take an emotional toll, especially during this time where your emotional toll is pretty epically high, I would do everything under the sun to find some peace. And if that means going out and finding new peeps that have a more positive outlook on life and can still be there for you, because that's what we need. We need people to be there for you and not want to talk about it all the time, but only talk about it when you want to. Because a lot of the negativity people, they enjoy that you have this issue going on, and they always want to talk about it because they get off on it. They're getting off on your pain. So we want to find people that are supportive, but they don't push and they don't prod, and they just have a much higher vibration, because their higher vibration will help you vibrate higher as well. So I would say go and, obviously what Duane said, do what feels right. But I would look for those positive people, because eventually you're not going to be in this circle of the allegations. Eventually it's going to go away. And you want someone to celebrate that day with. And damn it, I want them to be positive for you.
Yeah. And I guess the ongoing anxiety I have in respect to that is the fear of, well, what if I make friends with all these new people and they think everything's great, and then somehow my wife infiltrates them and like, whoa, why didn't you tell us about that?
Well, okay, but here's let me jump in on that, because here's the thing, and this is probably the problem you had with the coach. If you had a group of people who know you, who've built relationships with you, and then all of a sudden this crap happens, then someone might say that. Might say, hey, why didn't you tell us? Now you're in a situation where you could say, hey, look, you want to know the hell I've been living through? Let me give you this piece of paper. You can call Dan Smith at Child Protective Services, and they will tell you exactly what's going on and what I've had to deal with. Then you're in a position to where you could play that card probably more effectively, right? Trying to play that card with somebody who's already been.
I guess I do have that.
Yeah. So, no, I think, see, and that's a sad part about this, is no matter what, you always got this anxiety of what this piece of crap garbage human is going to play next.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they're very good at it.
Yeah, they are.
It's something every day.
So, hey man, thanks for calling. Hopefully that was helpful.
Thank you for everything. Yeah, no, it definitely was. I appreciate it, and I did put the link for the TAS intervention for the ADA accommodations in the comments.
Oh, okay, cool. I actually pulled it up when you were talking about it. I pulled it up on the screen too. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. Talk soon.
Bye.
Oh man, and I'll just let me try to pull this up again if I can pull up the keynote thing. Fully talking about category 3.
Yeah.
This gentleman is dealing with so many allegations. I don't know if people caught it. At one point he was talking about how his ex, or technically his wife, they're still technically married, went into the police station to file another one, saw her walk in and said, leave. No, you're not. No, you're not putting another one in. We're done with this. So, and I think ultimately, probably in his case, as long as he doesn't pop in the process, he will probably end up with full custody just because this person doesn't stop. Yeah. It's just messed up.
And you nailed it right there when you said he has to maintain the non, he doesn't want to get to that point of popping, because that's what the other side is looking for. That other side is looking for that emotional unstableness. I'm going to use that in quotations because we're angry. We're pissed. Our name is getting dragged all over the place. People, strangers are making comments about us and our lives that they have no clue what's going on. I'd love to know how they would feel on the other side. But you have all this going on. Of course you're mad. It is righteous anger, and they are waiting for you to implode. And
Exactly.
it's not imploding is the best thing we can do for ourselves. And if someone told me back in the day, Les, just keep your cool. Just keep your cool.
Yep.
I think I would have
Done
all
better.
around, it just would have been better if someone just said, just respond, don't react.
But see but the problem is, until you find the information, like my channel, your channel, or now the many others that are out there, the books or whatever, once you find out what's going on and you understand the game, it's easier to maintain your cool. I'll say easier as in, at least you don't feel completely isolated. It's still not easy. It's like, if you got a bigger picture view and okay, if I pop, there's going to be consequences that'll cost me the war. Like I normally do the battle war analogy. But what the problem is at the beginning of this, when you feel like you're losing everything, you're losing your reputation, you're losing your friend group, you're losing your mind, basically, you get to the point where popping makes sense because what the hell? I have nothing else to lose. This person's winning. So I might as well pop off, either verbally or worse, because, I remember at one point thinking, just to back up, of all the crap I was being accused of. And it's like, I didn't do any of it. It's like, you almost get to the point where it's like, well, if I'm being accused of physical abuse, I should at least have, I at least should have the satisfaction of a physical abuse.
Yes.
And it screws with your mentality. It screws with your mind because you feel so freaking lost.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very isolating, very alone. And if they got to everyone first, which they usually do, they've usually been starting this smear campaign well in advance, that you're so alone and you're like, well, fuck it. I'm going for it. I got nothing to lose. And everyone thinks I'm this person, so I'm just going to be who these people think I am. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not do that. Please. You will regret it. It may feel good in that moment.
It's not
go
worth
somewhere and throw plates. Go throw axes at trees. Do something that is not going to you want to get that energy out. You want to get that anger out, but do it in a manner where it's productive and not going to send you down a rabbit hole of even worse situations.
And that's the thing, is they're trying to get you to prove their narrative.
Yep.
The thing is, a lot of times with the false allegations is to either scare you enough to where you just back off and you just give up, or to where you finally make a mistake enough to where someone goes, oh, wait a minute. And I want to bring up, I kind of mentioned this before. Let me see if I can hit the right button here. My viewers are probably going to be more familiar with this. I Stand with John. There was a documentary that Dad Talk Today did about this. And that falls in line with, let me just do this, with the false allegations. And this again was a category 3 story with John Mast. His ex first accused him of physical abuse against her. And he ultimately was vindicated on that, only to then be, whenever that was vindicated, to then have it turned around into him sexually abusing the kids. And then 3 years fighting that, the guy finally wins. The courts finally see through the crap. The courts finally order unsupervised visitation. The ex, the last minute, tried to file another restraining order, got in front of a judge. The judge said, nope, denied. Dad gets to see the kids, this today at 6 p.m., period. And in that situation, what happened when he showed up, when John Mast showed up to pick his kids up, and one of his brothers and one of his sisters came out to support him while it was happening,
Yeah.
He's waiting. He sees the car pull up. He starts getting ready.
Yeah.
Mom and the kids don't get out, but father-in-law gets out, walks up to him and says, "Hey, John," and then shoots him and kills him. Yeah. Murders him. And then about 10 minutes later, mom drives up in a different car with the kids so that the kids can see their dad laying in the street.
Oh my God.
And he died. And the father-in-law was arrested.
Oh my God.
I guess we hadn't talked about that one. I'm sorry.
Holy
I didn't mean
shit.
to ambush you on that one, Leslie. I apologize.
No, I was not expecting that. I was expecting the father-in-law to pop off, but not actually pop off.
Yep. No, he murdered him. And, you know, the problem is the family court system. I mean, the family court system doesn't enable, the murder part of it. I mean, realistically, even if it was 50-50, there's a chance that still could have been an outcome at some point. But, you know, this is the type of crap that some people are dealing with. And Eric Carroll from Dad Talk Today is profiling a lot of stories about that type of situation. And there's another thing, a piece of this that I'll make for another topic or whatever, but where when people are telling you things, you have to believe them. And what I'll just say is, when you watch the documentary, there's a part in there where the family, John's brothers and sisters, are saying that the father-in-law had made many comments that he would do something like that. When people, especially unstable people, are telling you what they might do, you have to believe that it's true. If someone says, if you leave me, you will, like the typical story, a lot of times, a guy will say, if you leave, or both, if you leave me, you will never see the kids again. And then most of the time they will, through family court, try to make that a possibility, whether it's the mom or the dad. But when somebody tells you something that they're planning on doing, do not have this like, oh, they're just, being an ass, or, oh, they're being funny. If someone says something to you, you need to file it away and believe that it potentially may happen.
Yes. And especially if it has anything to do with something being taken away, especially your life.
Yeah.
If someone threatens your life, it is not a joke. I do not care. We do not joke about things like that. 9 times out of 10, people do not joke about things like that.
And I mean, and realistically on
seriously.
that, you would need to, probably what he should have done was filed a restraining order against him. So, well, that's not to say that the guy wouldn't have shown up,
right?
But,
exactly.
At least there's something else, I mean, it's the whole situation is tough. Let's see. I see you. No, go ahead.
Sorry. Just with that quick thing on restraining orders. I think a lot of us know that restraining orders, they blow right through them, and there's no consequence for them either, which is really odd. I remember going to rocking up to the police station with a few text messages that he was not supposed to be sending. They're like, well, it's not that bad. I'm like, not that bad. He's breaching what the judge said. And they said, well, we can't do anything. I'm like, then why do I have this thing?
You know what's funny?
Why are we here? I was so pissed off.
And I'll tell you, here's the thing I've noticed. And I mean, and this is just a Duane data point, may not be true. I don't know. But what I'll tell you is from what I've seen from talking to a bunch of people, is like even your story. Yeah. You have a restraining order, they're violating it, and if the person, is on the personality disorder side of things, potentially has one of those type of problems, you have the scenario like you did. You go in and it was like, well, it's not that bad. Why are you wasting time? Why are you being, whatever? You flip that around. Like, let's say it was you. Let's say you had a the same situation. Yep, and he had a restraining order against you and you sent him a text. They probably would have arrested you.
Oh, yes. I would have been in jail.
And that's what's amazing with this is that, and I've seen it even with like the child support thing. Somebody who is a narcissist is able to get away with not paying. And like I did a video the other day on Charlie Sheen and Denise Richard. Yeah. And in that article I was going over, it said that he didn't pay child support for 4 years. Oh, and it's like, it's like, if I didn't pay child support for 4 years, I would have been in jail. You know what I mean? Right. And it's like, it's amazing how Some people get away with it. It doesn't matter if it's the guy or the girl. It's like if they fall in that emotional category, it seems like they get a pass for some reason.
Yeah.
You know, because you can turn around and say another story. The guy from the Dukes of Hazzard, the blonde guy, they sent him to jail a couple of years ago because he was behind in alimony. And he's like, look, my business has gone to crap. It got wiped out during the hurricane. I don't make the money I make, and I can't pay her 40, I think it was 40 grand a month. I can't pay it. And they're like, you're lying.
40 grand a month?
Yeah, it was either 20 or 40. It was a significant amount of money.
Shit.
And they basically said, well, we think you're lying, and you're in contempt of court because you're not paying, and you're going to jail. And he freaking went to jail. And now, granted, because of the overcrowding in California, he walked in, they processed him in, they put on his clothes, and then they took, basically he was out the same day. But he thought initially he was going to be there for weeks because he's like, I don't have the money, And
here's the problem. And here's the logic that fails in a system that is supposedly smarter than the rest of us. If someone can't pay, like honest to God, if you couldn't pay your child support, you would say, hey, man, I can't pay it. How can we arrange something? And they send you to jail. Well, now your kids definitely don't have a father. And now you definitely can't pay. Now you're definitely in arrears. And now you're definitely going to go back to jail. I don't see how they think this makes sense.
You know what? Because they think that you're lying. They think the person's lying. And it's like, well, you're playing a game, so we think you're lying, so we're going to throw you in jail, and you're not going to like jail, so you're going to miraculously come up with the money and get out.
And then what happens when you don't miraculously come up with the money? They're like, oh, well, we'll keep you in longer then.
No, and the sad part is
that...
it's messed up because, and I know we're kind of getting off topic, but to finish this thought, the problem, like in my situation, if they did that to me, I'd lose my career, and I would go from being able to make this much to being a greeter at Walmart. But typically what they'll do is they'll turn around and say, well, you did this to yourself. So it's not our fault that you used to make 100 grand a year and now you make 20. Just I'm making numbers up because it's easier. But they'll turn around and say, well, it's your fault. You need to figure out how to make 100 grand again. And we're going to keep piling up the arrears. I mean, I've seen it happen to people. It's freaking horrible. Yeah. Hey, Stevie's on. Hold on.
Oh, hey, Stevie. Good morning.
Says, hey, Duane. Hey, and Les. Great to see you both. Good to see you too.
Good to see you.
We were talking about you before we went live, actually.
Yes, we were. I'm not going to say if it was
I hit
good
the wrong
or
button. Now I got multiple things up. Now, hey, I do have another caller. Do you want to hit another caller?
Yes.
So hopefully, caller on line 6 who's been waiting for 36 minutes. I apologize about that. Let's see if we can bring you on.
Sorry.
Hello, welcome to the show.
Hi, Duane.
Sorry about the delay on that. How you doing?
Well, that's all right. I'm at work, so if I get called away, I'm gonna have to just hang up on you on the spot.
No worries. Well, if that's the case, you want to just hit what you want to hit real quick and what you want us to talk. I mean, what we maybe get our opinion on, and then you can go back and watch it later.
I started a new job, and
congratulations.
Another triggering moment is when people ask you, so do you have any kids?
Oh, yeah.
How do you answer this question to people? Like, do I just lie? Or, because, I can't just lie. I say, yes, okay. And then, well, what school do they go to? I don't know. How do you answer this question to people?
What I would say on that is there's a couple different ways you could address it, but let's just say if you take it off of.
Also, before I get called away, also after answering that, how do you handle being triggered? Okay, I'm doing wonderful, doing great, and then someone asking me about my child, just hits a wave across of my chest that I hate these moments.
Yeah, sorry you're
thank you.
going through that. Les, do you want to hit that first?
Ooh, well, I'm probably not the best person because I don't have children. And when people ask me, it's neither here nor there. First of all, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry this is your experience. For the anxiety, there are a couple of things you can do to help yourself get through. is you can just do like a few rounds of tapping. You can do three breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, to get your oxygen back into your system, to kind of calm that cortisol. And then you can actually do a round of tapping. And I know it sounds ridiculous, and a lot of people say it's stupid, Les. I'm not going to do it. But if you just tap on your trigger points, so there's one at your eyebrow, there's one at the side of your eye, under your nose, under your chin, and here, and also under your arm and top of your head. If you could do a round of those, but if you can't do those because you're at work and you don't want anyone to notice what you're doing, you can just tap on your collarbone and just keep taking deep breaths. And you don't have to tell anyone anything. I think a lot of people forget that we don't have to explain ourselves to anybody. Just because they asked a question, we don't have to answer. If you don't want to answer that you have children, don't answer. Don't answer, especially if they're new people, especially if they're new. We don't know who the hell these people are. Not everyone deserves to know our story, and not everyone deserves to know our pains. And you can just...
I like that. I think that
you can just skip right over it.
Yes, I do have a daughter. If they ask more questions, excuse me, please, walk away.
Yes.
Can you excuse me? And
yes.
Yeah.
Say.
And I would say on the if you're not familiar with
questions is what triggers you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And I think Leslie's right, because we have a lot more power than we think. You know, with social norms and stuff like that, we feel like we can get goat roped into these things, but we don't have to. And you could even be like, hey, you know what? I don't want to talk about private stuff at work, or you could say, it's like, oh yeah, I have a child and they live with their dad and they're doing great, and then just switch the topic around. I mean, and then what I was going to just say is, because I know a lot of people aren't familiar with the tapping thing that Les was talking about. If you're not, if you are, that's great. But if you're not, look it up. And I would say, even if, like Leslie mentioned that, maybe it's not your thing or you think it's weird, if you're having issues and you're being triggered and you're having emotional responses and what you're currently doing isn't working, try something different. I tried hypnosis. I thought prior to me doing it, I thought it was the stupidest thing in the frickin' planet. Same thing with therapy. I thought therapy was a bunch of witch doctors that didn't, whatever. But when I got to a point that I was spiraling out of control, I started trying different things. Yeah. And if I was still having issues, even though the tapping thing I don't necessarily understand, I would try it. If it didn't work, it didn't work. Try something different. Yeah. If it worked and I found a new technique that helped me calm myself down and keep me grounded, then it's perfect, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll try just about anything. I do tapping every morning.
Thank you guys so much. I'm going to have to get off the phone now. I just want to send out thank you so much that just turning on your channel, and out to the last caller as well, because your words of advice to him were kind of just what I wanted to hear as well, that this channel has helped so much. I thank you so much.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say?
Oh, I do tapping every morning. It's part of my morning routine. I do a meditation.
Oh, nice.
I do my tapping. Yeah, I get on the mat. It's all part of it. And if you told me 5 years ago that you're going to be tapping, every morning for 15 minutes, I would have told you you're a crazy person. But here we are. It helps.
I don't
really
mean to laugh,
help.
but it's just like,
but it's
when
funny,
you said
right?
that, if I roll the clock back 9 years ago to when I first started, like, no, you know what? Let's even farther. Roll it back 10, 15, 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah. You've got
what I'm doing in my life now and the people I know now, it's like this is a completely different world. Different world. Oh my God.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. 10 years ago, I would have smacked you. I would have said, snap out of it. You're crazy.
Exactly.
You're crazy.
Oh,
I wouldn't have smacked you, but snap out of it.
No, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look back through the comments. There's actually another caller. I'll go through that in a minute, but do you see any comments you want to hit? Yeah, I'm trying. I'm not doing a very good job of following the comments during our conversation. So I apologize, everybody. And I don't even think I have a moderator, online today. So a lot of times they'll keep me in check. So I'm just trying to scroll up. So I don't see anything. Actually, let me do, I'll do a search on question. Nope, nobody had any questions.
All right.
And I'll do @DSD to see if anyone said anything to me. Oh, this is a good one. The Philip Maloney podcast says, DSC, any tips from your guest as to how we can steer the conversation back from the false allegations when in court? I actually have some thoughts on that. Do you have any? What do you think?
Oh. The only thing I can suggest, I don't. When in court, that's the thing. When in court,
okay, I
when,
tell you
when
what.
you're out and about, it's easy to change the subject. But when you're in court,
and I think what he's asking is this comment was actually when one of the callers was saying, the other caller who was saying he's dealing with false allegations and just, I can't get the parking spot. I can't. What you got to do, this is what I've been talking to other people. When they're doing that, when they're throwing the kitchen sink at it, you have to have your list of issues focused, and either you or your attorney or your solicitor, depending on where you're at, has to keep bringing it back to those points. Has to be saying, well, the parking space, Your Honor, is irrelevant. We're here to talk about issues 1, 2, and 3, and just be driving it back to that. Because see, the problem is they get us caught up in a situation where we come in with our 3 issues or our 2 issues, and then they come in with 15 issues, and then we get on the defensive and we're talking about those other issues, and our issues are never even discussed because we're fighting this fire. You have to basically to discount or, which I'm trying to think of the right word. What I'm trying to say is you basically have to say, well, that's bullshit. We're here to talk about this. I think even in some ways it's like, unless they brought it up in in a previous hearing, not a hearing, but in court documents saying these are their issues, you have your issues, they have their issues. But typically what happens is they come in at the last minute with their little piece of paper, typically beyond the filing deadlines. So you haven't been able to see it, and they're catching you off guard. So that would be my tip in it, in the court scenario when you're dealing with that. What do you think about that?
Because in the court, and you're absolutely right. They will come in, we'll come in with our 1 or 2 thinking that this is going to be, an easy kind of clear up, something that we can discuss. And then they come in with like 20 false allegations and all of these things, and like text messages and stone carvings and hieroglyphics, just trying to prove that they're right. And we do get into defending. So as long as your lawyer is aware, and this is where I feel education in this kind of behavior, when it comes to possibly narcissistic people, that lawyers and everyone in the justice system need an education. They need a crash course on how these people function. Yeah. So they realize, well, wait a minute, this is just a manipulation tactic. So we can completely cross it off the list. Just say, well, this has nothing to do with it. This has nothing to do with it. And as long as we can, our lawyer can stay on track, because our lawyers can get emotionally invested too. Our lawyers can get all ramped up.
They can get tricked. They can get sucked into the chaos. Absolutely.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that everyone is calm, cool, and collected. Everyone knows what the game plan is, and that we're staying on that playing board. We're not going to go from chess to checkers. We're going to stay on chess.
Exactly. Great point.
Yeah.
Oh, and I just have to say, I do have a moderator on. I forgot. The Wise Chat Manager is a moderator. So I apologize for that. I see what I did is I forgot to open up the chat in YouTube, because it gives me all the colors and lets me know what people are. So I kind of hose myself on that. Do you want to go to the next caller?
Sure.
All right. So let me unmute it. And hello and welcome to the show. They were on hold for a while, so they may not be there. Are you there? Make sure. Oh, hold on. I have the button. Yeah. You know what I did is I muted your channel instead of unmuted it. So I apologize. So let's try that again. Hello. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going, Duane?
Obviously not technically well. It's going all right. How are you doing, man?
Well, I would say I'm in a better position than most. So I figured out that my wife was a narcissist back in February or so.
Okay.
And so I was able to gather a lot of evidence before I left. In the state that I'm working in, so it's a one-party consent state. So I started recording conversations after she made a death threat. You were talking about death threats earlier.
Yeah.
So I have that recorded. She actually threatened to try to kill me if I tried to get custody of the children. So I have that. I have multiple other threats on there, from threats of assault, threatening to quote unquote put me in my place, and I can show escalation from let's see, I left on August 3rd, and prior to that, the entire month of July, she was escalating, and I can show all of that in court. After I left, I made a agreement with her to come out and pick the children up on August 6th, and I was going to keep them for the weekend. And whenever I left, I told her that, you know, I wasn't going to be answering any phone calls, nothing like that. Everything was strictly email. And of course, whenever I left, she started, you know, blowing up my phone with text messages, went out to my grandmother's house looking for me. My grandmother actually seen the children that day. And on August 10th, she went over and filed a police report and got a protective order. Well, since then, we have been to court on the 25th for the temporary protective order, and my attorney rolled the protective order into the divorce proceeding. And then from there, we've kind of bounced through the court system. I haven't actually got my first day in court yet to bring all this evidence up. But in the protective order, she alleged that I had raped her and that I had used a switch on my middle daughter and drew blood on her. Well, because my grandma saw the children on August 3rd, she actually can testify that there was no marks on the children.
Yeah.
And on the CPS investigation, it came back that it was unsubstantiated.
Good.
Good.
So I'm actually doing better than most.
Good.
That's, you know, it's
but as far as like,
no, I was just going to say it's amazing how I keep hearing these stories where these things happen, and these little things that could have just not happened, like had your grandmother not seen the kids, you wouldn't have that piece of extra evidence. You know, I mean, it's amazing how it's almost like, you know, divine intervention sometimes to make sure that you have a way out of this. And you're just going to have to hunker down and just deal with. I mean, so you're under a temporary restraining order right now, right? Is that what it sounds like? It's still in effect or not?
Yes, I'm still under a temporary protective order. And the funny thing is, after she went in and filed that, she actually left the marital home, moved the children to another city, and moved them schools. And I haven't had any contact with any of my children since August 3rd. And so, like, I know that there's parent-teacher conferences going on today. I know where they're at, but she doesn't know that I know that.
Yeah, and the problem
so
is
I don't want to call the school and tip my hand.
Well, and if you have a TRO, temporary restraining order, it says you can't be in her, you know, in her physical presence. Don't show up there, because like what we were just talking about before, what Leslee was talking about, you know, in that scenario, she'll call and they'll probably arrest your ass because, you know, you violated that TRO. So don't add any extra problem to this, for it. I mean, I know it sucks. I know it's not right, but you know, you gotta play smartly on this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. One of the good things is I actually used to catch shoplifters for Walmart, so I'm very familiar with you know, the legal proceedings and how officers work and that sort of thing. And I actually gathered evidence professionally.
Good.
So everything that I can, I've been gathering evidence, and I guess she forgot that fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as the temporary order goes, so I can talk with her family as long as I'm not trying to pass any messages along to them. And I could also call the school, things like that. I just don't want to tip my hand just yet.
Yeah,
but
I would.
The good thing is I actually got a new job in another state. So I'm not even in the state right now. And I actually got a call from the police last night where she had completely trashed the marital home, and I assumed she was going to try to blame that on me. And I actually got a call from the police last night, and they let me know she finally filed the police report yesterday.
That she filed her police report that you, because she doesn't know you're out of state, came over and trashed the house.
Right.
Ha!
That's my guess. I don't know for sure just yet, But the officer was asking me, what my whereabouts were when I moved up here to the other state and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I let him know, well, I've known about this since August 31st because the police actually called me to get permission to enter the home because they found the door completely open in the middle of the night.
Wow.
So whenever she left, because of the protective order, I'm still having to pay all of the utilities on the home.
Right.
And she had left the house open and trashed the house. Like I found out that the big screen TV in the house has been busted, which I would wager money she's the one that probably did that, because if anybody's going to break into the home, they're going to make off with it and try to sell it.
Right.
They're going to take it. Exactly. That
no,
it's not a break-in.
But if they're trying to set up, if she's trying to set up an allegation that you,
sorry,
what was this? That was interesting. That you did it, then you wouldn't steal it. You just destroy it. So, I mean, it's to try to fit the narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So hopefully she turns around and blames it on you, and you can prove that you're out of state, and there's no way you could have done it, and it's going to blow up her credibility.
Yep.
And we'll help you.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
I was actually anticipating that.
That probably is going to. That's probably the way it's going to play out.
That's what I'm hoping. I know as far as all the allegations in the protective order, like I can disprove all of those. Yeah. And I've actually got recordings of her offering to give me sexual favors, I'll put it that way, after the supposed rape had happened, which doesn't match a rape victim's behavior.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
Well,
I've got quite a bit of evidence on my side.
Yeah, hang in there, man. It sounds like you got everything lined up. Just take it slow, and and hopefully they'll see it. I mean, the thing is when people make those kind of mistakes, when they make those type of allegations, and they undermine their own credibility, it's typically things happen a little bit faster. May not, right? I mean, hopefully when you go to court, they'll be like, holy crap. Okay, you need to knock this off. Otherwise we're going to, make life hard on her. But you'll just have to see how it plays out, but you're handling it. You got it right.
Yeah,
man.
That's what I'm hoping for. Also, I would suggest anybody that is looking for something as far as court goes, I would highly suggest looking into Rebecca's tongue. All of the information that I got and the way that I've been playing this has basically been based off of her advice. And so far, it seems to be working really well.
Yeah, hold on, let's see if I can pull that up. Rebecca Zune, right? Z-U-N? Z-O-N? How would you spell her last name?
Z-U-N-G.
Z-U. Zune, okay. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can pull this up. This is who you're talking about, Rebecca Zune. Yeah, she's an attorney, right? So she does a lot of stuff about narcissism in court. So yeah, definitely a great resource. Yes, huge. Oh my God, she's at 219,000 subscribers. Holy crap. Yeah, great resource.
Ooh. Yeah, so she's been great as far as, giving advice and things like that. Like everything is all about, protecting yourself and creating leverage that you can use in court to try to make them come to the table to negotiate. That way you're not in the court system for 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah. And the whole point is that you have to find, and I mean, I don't watch a lot of her stuff, but I agree with what you just said. You have to find a pressure point that causes the person who's doing it to go, oh crap. If you can do that, then you can stop some of this crap. But if they feel like and they typically get empowered in family court, then it's just going to be this long knockdown, drag out, like we were talking about with Merge earlier, it being an 8-year ordeal.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
Anything else you want to hit, man, before you go?
I think that's pretty well it, man.
Thanks for calling, dude. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
So, what I'm going to also hit real quick is a super chat, and actually Merge was doing it, the Wise Chat Manager was doing it for Merge, where Merge, I guess I missed it. It said, don't forget that On Record is a great documentation or documenting this nonsense. And
what is that?
That is that's a system that's being rolled out to help you document these such scenarios and to document it in a way that you can that it'll consolidate the information and helps you present it for court. So, I mean, it's it's a paid service, kind of like Talking Parents or or Our Family Wizard, but more of a focus on how to help you document your case so that you can show patterns of behavior and stuff like that. So, and Merge has been using that, and it's been helping him in his situation.
Good.
So
Good. Okay. I had no idea it was out. Thank you so much.
So sorry for
will
missing
pass that
that
along.
earlier. So anyways, before that, was there anything else you wanted to hit from the last caller before we move on?
No, I'm just really impressed at they got the information, something clicked for them, and they're like, I need to protect myself. And that's exactly what they did. And I absolutely love it.
You know, that's what's so...
I wish I could have done the same thing.
Well,
So
you know,
I'm
the
just so
problem
proud.
the problem is back when we went through our scenarios,
Mhm.
there wasn't as much information out, right? I mean,
No.
you know, I mean, when you're sitting here and you're fighting, you know, let me pull this back up. When you're fighting through these false these categories and stuff, and you don't have any resources to help you understand what's going on, either the emotional side or the legal side of it, it makes it really tough to try to know how to navigate it, because it's so surreal. You feel like you're living in the Twilight Zone, because how in the world would anybody that you potentially cared about make crap up about you just for their own personal gain? It's enough to make you, it feels like you're in the Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Am I dating
Well, and
myself
that's-
with that? Is a Twilight Zone
No,
even
no.
out anymore?
I think there's new ones actually, to come
Oh,
to think of
sweet.
it. I
Okay.
think there are new Twilight Zones. But you nailed it, right? And especially someone, it's just so damaging all over the place, because
Yeah.
we can't trust anyone after the fact. We question everyone and
Oh my
everything.
God. Yeah.
And we just can't believe that someone who sat there and told us they loved us could turn around and beat us into the ground, not literally, or sometimes literally and figuratively. They will
Yeah.
beat us into the ground just to get what we have, just so we don't have anything walking out of that relationship. And it is, you just sit there and you think, you're willing to destroy another human being because of this. Now,
Yeah.
they say 1 in 8, or like 1 in 8 men will take, the way out of permanently when in this situation where,
Self-deletion.
yes,
Yeah.
false allegations, they can't see their kids,
Yeah.
whatever. Like the stats for that is way higher than it is for women. Women still do it. For men, it's a lot higher, because the men do get the brunt of the bullshit. Because people just assume that the man's going to be the problem.
Right.
But the problem is that not all women, but some women are the problem. As you know,
Yeah.
we've had many men callers. I have many men clients. We have many men followers. And
Can I interrupt for once? I'm going to take one
Yes.
quick little break. So can you run with this for a
Yes.
minute? I'll be right back. So
Yes, I can.
Okay. Thanks. Sorry about that.
No problem. So, crap, where was I? This is where I have a problem with, like, there's no education, and that the judges don't quite understand what they're looking for. And I sometimes swear that the judges, they're really not paying attention to what's going on. How is it that someone here can spend 8 years on false allegations to finally come out the other side, that it's all cleared up, and that it's a known fact that it's a false allegation, but yet there's no benefit for him on the other side, except for his own vindication and his own sense of ease, knowing that now it's a proven fact that he didn't do anything wrong, or she didn't do anything wrong. But where's the punishment for the other person? How did it get this far? Why are we not paying attention? Why are we not paying attention when a certain parent can't see their children? I have so many clients that haven't seen their children, not allowed to see their children, especially if it's unsupervised. And everyone just automatically assumes, well, he must have done something wrong because he can't see his kids. So they automatically assume that he's the bad guy. And that would happen for women too. And especially for women, people would say, well, holy shit, what did she do? It's not very often they take children away from women, from the mother. What did they do? So the fact that we have no education, the fact that the court system allows this, I think it's all money, to be honest. I'm hell bent that it's money, but it's so damaging and so destroying. I feel bad about possibly insulting someone that I didn't mean to insult in a comment that I made or something that I said. It will bother me for days. Never mind consciously making a conscious daily effort to go out and destroy another human being.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
I can't imagine it. And they keep getting away with it day after day. And it fucking pisses me off. It pisses me off that they keep getting away with it.
You know, one thing, and sorry about bouncing out. So
no, I'm going to have to do the same in like 2 seconds.
One thing I just want with what you're just talking about is it, it's, I mean, it's tough because it's hard to figure out who to believe, what's real. You know, you take a comment from somebody and, you know, you try to process it with what, you know, our own past experiences and assumptions on what the person's going through. And it just makes it really, really tough. I don't know if maybe I went off the rail on that one. I'm not sure. So. Well,
I went off the rails with my anger. So.
Oh, I missed that. I'll have to watch that in the replay too. But like no, I heard you talking about with money too. I mean, the problem is that it's about control, money, and oh crap, the caller just dropped. Sorry about that. I was actually going to go to that in a minute. Sorry. I'll leave. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to make. I'm going to basically add. We'll do one more caller if someone comes in. Otherwise, I'll leave 2 open. And then we'll wrap it up because we've been almost going 2 hours. But do you want to take a break and I'll just rant? I'll pontificate on things.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Enjoy your rant. Did I freeze?
You did. Anyway. You did. So let me hit. Okay. I'll go to where is that one? I'll do this one. All right. So Les will take a quick break, and I need to make sure I can see her when she comes back. So okay. Sorry about that, guys. Got sidetracked. I did see Charles said, Duane, whoops, why did that not pop up? Says, Duane, you should try to interview Rebecca in your channel. She's a lawyer and a narcissism expert. You know, I would. I've kind of slowed down on taking interviews just because people have a tendency to with the channel sizes and stuff like that. Bottom line, I'll try. But it wouldn't surprise me if I don't get a response. So if the followers of Rebecca would like her to come on to this channel and mention it in the comments so that she thinks that maybe there's some interest, that would be helpful. But yeah, she'd be a great guest to have on. Let me scroll up. I'm just trying to look to see if there's other comments while we're waiting. Excuse me. I apologize. Oh, Stevie said this, says, I'm guessing it feels so foreign also because it's not something you would do. It's hard to imagine someone else doing it. And that is so true, right? I mean, you get into this situation where you're dealing with somebody who is just, I mean, it's making my eye twitch just thinking about it, you know, pulling out all the stops, making up all the allegations just to try to win for their own personal gain. And I think most people on this channel would never in a million years think of doing that. And even playing that game and that at that level is one of those things where you just wouldn't even contemplate it. I often say that dealing in these situations often make us become people who we weren't not used to, but that we never wanted to be. You know, you get in the situation. Well, let me bring Leslee back up. You get in the situation to where, you know, these people force you to respond and react in ways that are just out of character. And it's so damn hard to do that just because you would never do it in real, you know, you would never do it. You would never betray, like I would never betray if someone told me something in confidence, that would make them look horrible, and we have a falling out, I am not going to throw that out there because I think it just feels wrong. Whereas a narcissistic personality type, you share something in an intimate in an intimate situation, you can rest assured that if your relationship flames apart at the scene 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, they're probably going to use that against you. And it's fucking horrible. Sorry, I don't mean to swear, but.
That's okay. But also on top of that, that's why it's very important for us to realize we don't have to tell anyone anything. We don't have to explain ourselves. We don't have to tell anyone just because they want to know. Why do you want to know? Why are you so interested?
You know what though? I hear what you're saying and what you're just saying right now. And I get it because there's certain things, because of my 20-year experience, there are things that I won't say to Debbie, my girlfriend. Right? I mean, you know, I've been with her for 8 years. I mean, it's like once you've been burned in these, and I'm sure you were mentioning it before, and I kind of think that's what you're saying is now if you're with a new person, you're going to hold back certain information because is it really relevant and is it really worth the risk, right? Mm-hmm. And it's sad because I think one of the things that sucks about this is we wanted that person that we could trust. We wanted that person we could be vulnerable with and, you know, tell our deep, dark secrets to and stuff like that. But once you've been burned by this, especially with the false allegations and smear campaigns, when they start pulling out the stops and just using stuff out of context, or even worse, something that you shared intimately, privately with them, and then they use that against you. I mean, it's just, it's horrible.
Yeah. I find it's a slow trust. It's a slow trust buildup, and you trust them with like the little things, and that slowly, it slowly goes, but there's still times where you say something, you're like, oh,
I shouldn't have done that. Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that.
No, nope. I tell you, it's weird. I used to be very, and we're going to go to the callers. The lines flip back up. So I'll grab them here in a minute, but I have definitely got to the point where I'm more selective of what I will say. Whereas in the past, I would share way too much information. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I find that too. I don't know if you find this, but I find a lot of people, like watchers of our channels, because, like it's very, they know us, but we don't know them. So they automatically think it's okay to ask questions. And if you don't want to answer, then they get their back up. They're like, well, why the hell won't you tell me? It's like, well, because I don't want to, I don't know you. You're a name on a screen.
Oh, and that's a good point.
They get very upset that you're not opening up and sharing. But at the same time, I don't know who you could be. My ex, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like there's always that thing in the back of my head. I don't know who you are. So, and some people, I'm not saying like YouTube people, but like people out on the street, they're just excited that you have dirt to tell them.
Oh God, people love drama.
They do, don't they?
Just stay away from drama. I freaking hate drama. All right.
Yeah.
Let me get everything set up to where I don't screw this up, and let me go to caller on line 10. So next caller, if it works. Hello, welcome to the show.
Hey, Duane.
Hey, how you doing today?
You could be better.
Sorry to hear that. What's going on, man?
Yeah. You know the story. Things were going good. I had about a year of no restraining orders, and out of the blue, she filed one. Granted for temporary orders, TRO.
Yeah.
My ex got remarried, and
recently,
her new husband got, I think in February.
Okay, so it is recently.
And then in October of last year, he was at her work, got shot by the cops. He had felony warrants, drugs on him, assault with a deadly weapon to the cops. It's on video. I don't want to drop the link or nothing. But
he was shot by the cops?
And literally shot by the cops.
Did he survive?
And he did. And he's possibly facing life because he had significant amount of priors.
Which leads me to this new TRO. I had made the mistake of messaging her. I hope your husband does not get life in prison, because that's what he's facing. Which I think he is, but I mean, that's besides the point. That was made in May. As of October 2nd, TRO was filed and granted. And here we are again, zero custody. This is my 5th one.
So let me just ask, just to clarify. Okay, so in February of this year, she was married. All this happened in October, like this month? You're talking like in the last few weeks?
Like 1 year. The shooting happened last October.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
so I've just been not addressing it in fear of, retaliatory.
And then you make that comment, and now that's a retaliatory thing. Did she think you were being sarcastic on that or something, or do you even know? It's kind of irrelevant, but
she used the tools at her disposal to get the results she needed, and that was a comment I made via text message back in May of this year.
Oh God! And it was substantiated. The TRO is now a permanent protective order.
Correct. No. It's not a permanent order, and I haven't been served yet.
Okay. No, all right. I mean, so you've been through this rodeo before, and I'll just jump in real quick, and then we'll get Les's comments on it before. I mean, so unfortunately, and the reality is, well, first let me say this: you've been through this before. You know how this is played. Don't make any mistakes. You'll probably get this TRO thrown out. And unfortunately, reality is that when a narcissistic, toxic person's life starts to unravel and they want to lash out to somebody, unfortunately, we are the prime targets of that, which is what I think you're experiencing right now. Les, do you want to comment on that? What's your take on
I agree, because her life is falling apart.
Yeah.
Her spouse, her new spouse, potentially going to jail for life. And yeah, and she's got to blame someone. She's got to blame someone. She can't blame the person that, she picked, because heaven forbid she make a wrong decision.
Yeah.
And so it's you. And it was a really nice thing that you did, FYI, a really nice thing, just probably executed at the wrong time.
Meaning the text saying, "I hope he doesn't go to jail." I'm assuming you were being. I'm assuming you were being genuine on that, right? I mean, you weren't trying to use that to poke it in her eye, right? Say that again.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
Not at all. I wasn't taking a shot on that.
No, it was sincere, and it was very kind, and you didn't need to say anything. You could have just sat back and said, "Well, that's what you get," but you didn't. You took the higher road, and sadly, she did not.
But the problem, though, Les, is that in this situation, as soon as, before, when her life is great and she's remarried and life seems like it's skipping along, then it's, then they can sit all smug as a rug and a bug, if I'm saying that right. And now that this is a complete chaotic shit show, now it's got to turn around to where she's got to make it look like you don't have your crap together, or how dare you have a nice, stable life. Let's throw a freaking monkey wrench in that. I mean, and the thing is, caller, that's what's going on. And I know what it is you're so freaking drained. It's like, seriously, I have to go through this now. I mean, how old are your kids now?
I've got 5 and 2.
Oh,
yeah. So
I'm so sorry.
I mean,
it's top to bottom on these orders. It's just zero accountability.
Yeah.
I own a home. I've owned it for a decade before we met.
Yeah.
My mom lives in town. Both my kids live in the same town, little town. I work here. And then you write on these forms, does not have strong ties to the geographic area. And there's just no accountability every step of the way.
No. And they come up with their own narrative and say whatever the hell they want, and they just believe it's true.
I got a question.
Yeah.
So this gentleman that she married, no judgment. I'm not passing in judgment because I don't know the story, but he was shot by the police, and, drugs and weapons and all this. No one's questioning that he shouldn't be around the kids, but they're questioning if you should be around the kids. This is where I have a problem. They're not looking in the right areas.
Well, but it's a preemptive attack on her part, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, and we kind of hinted to this before earlier in this discussion, is if they can get to the cops first, or they can strike first, now the caller is in the defensive mode, and she's probably worried that that's exactly what you would say. You would turn around and say, hey, this violent felon shouldn't be around my kids. Exactly. And you probably weren't even thinking about doing that. But these people live in their own freaking reality.
Yeah.
I could. You said it earlier. You said it perfect. I'm not a monster. I couldn't do that to someone because I know what it feels like.
Yeah.
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 Well, I'm sorry, man. I mean, but you know what you got to do now. You just got to write it out, and maybe the sad part is we almost need, and most of us don't want to do this, we almost need everything to shift enough to where you get control, that you get full custody and full decision. Because I don't know for sure, but typically people who call these channels and participate in these discussions would never in a million, even if you had full custody and decision and control, if mom called and said, hey, I want to take the kids and take them to the park, or, take them to, Magic Mountain or something, Great America, whatever it is, for the weekend, you'd be like, sure. You wouldn't say no just because, well, I don't know. I don't think it would be good. You're not going to play those emotional games, right?
I gave her Christmas Eve. I didn't have to. It's my first year spending Christmas with the kids. And
see, that's what I'm talking about.
I'll leave you on a positive note, Duane and Leslie. They're dating a new girl, lives out of state, which is great for airline miles. But she's divorced, and she's at it. They're good people. They're not taking ball punches at each other with restraining orders. But they're still cat fighting. And I was sick and tired of hearing it. Told her I thought less of her every time she talked smack on the side of her ex-husband's dick or whatever the hell it was. And I was up there about a month ago, and we had dinner, and we hugged. It was normal.
Good. Good for you, man.
Yeah. So there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
There is.
It's just,
there is. Thanks for saying that.
Long tunnel.
Yeah. True.
Yep. I will say I'm impressed that you said something like, I'm not having this. You sound like this is not good talk, because what happens is sometimes we don't realize what we're saying when and how we're saying it, because we don't every time I bash my ex, my partner is like, well, am I next? Like, is this how you're going to talk about me if it goes to shit? Like, we're just so emotionally charged by it that we don't realize. So good for you and good for her for realizing that, oh, wait a minute, this isn't cool. I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. Proud of you, man.
It's
good.
Yeah.
I'm glad the relationship's going well.
And
I'm
we all
really
got
happy for you.
All right. Thanks
we all got a vent, though. I mean,
No, we do.
Cheers, guys. I love you guys. Keep it up. Good work.
Thanks, man.
Have a good day.
What I'll say is, when the last little part we were talking about venting, we all have to find our safe, and I hate to say safe spaces because that term has been effing ruined with the culture today, but we need to find environments where we can vent, where we can express this stuff, but that it doesn't negatively affect our lives. So like these type of forums are great for that. If you have a confidant who's local, who really understands it and will allow, will give you the space just to vent and just to listen to you, just to let you do that, it's great. But you have to be very careful, because so many people, especially at the early stages, will run into you'll be in the damn grocery store and you run into somebody. It's like, oh, let me tell you what's happened to me. I mean, I used to do that. I remember, I remember hearing it happen. I remember being in the grocery store one day and another person, same thing, lady, was talking to another friend, an old friend hadn't seen in a while, and was just venting about all the crap that was going on. And you got to find an area where you can do that to where it doesn't, basically harm you. Does it make sense?
Yeah. And it makes sense that we do that, because we're trying to figure out what every time we tell someone whether it be a stranger or someone who's heard it for the like thousandth time. We're trying
Yeah.
to figure it out in our own heads. So
Oh yeah,
we
definitely.
just want to be very aware. Okay, how like is this the only thing I'm talking about? If it's the only thing I'm talking about, I need to switch gears. I really do, because A, people just don't want to hang out with us anymore because it's all we talk about.
Yeah.
And B, I remember I went to car shopping and the sales guy, I got in the car, we're taking the car for a test drive, and he's telling me all about his divorce.
Oh no.
All
The
about
sales
his
guy?
divorce.
Oh,
The sales
shoot.
guy. Oh yeah. I was like, well, guess who's not getting a sale? Because this is the most depressing car ride I've ever been in.
But I think what happens on that is, and you kind of mentioned it, you get into the point to where you're almost trying to convince yourself what you're going through is real.
Yes.
I mean, I think you're telling everybody because you're like, this is insanity. I don't believe this. And you're looking for the other person to say one of three things. Oh my God, I can't believe that's happening to you. Or yeah, it doesn't surprise me or whatever. It's like, dude, shut up. I don't want to hear about it. Or, well, you're the problem, right? I mean, it's like you're in this, you're so confused. You're so gaslit. You don't know what ends up. Mm-hmm. And you're telling everybody because it doesn't make sense yourself. But God, for the love of God, don't do. I mean, like, because if you would have went back into when the car ride was over, if you would have went up to the manager and said, hey, just so you know, I know Leslie, you wouldn't do this, but if you said, hey, just so you know, your sales guy Bill over here, the entire time, I mean, you being female, all I got to hear is how bad his ex-wife is, and I'm not buying a car from here. I mean, they probably would have fired the guy.
Well, funny enough, I went back the next week. I went back to go take another model out, and he was no longer there. So
well, and that's the thing, right? I mean, because I mean, I was lucky that I had a career that it was, I mean, I would have had to do a lot of bad things to actually lose my job. Mm-hmm. But I also was well aware that if I worked someplace else, or if I had a normal 9 to 5, 8 to 5, whatever job, and I was just a cog in the wheel, they would have fired me. I would have been gone because I was not a productive employee for a while because I was I was losing my mind. And I know that happens to people. It happens to men and it happens to women because emotionally you lose, you just lose it.
Yeah. That's why a lot of my clients say that they really enjoy their time with me. Like there's like, I can't believe I'm saying I enjoy it, but they get to vent. They get to talk to someone who gets it, who's been there, who's been in that emotion and understands it. And it's a closed off space, obviously, that whatever they tell me isn't going anywhere. And if they want to scream and yell, they can scream and yell because it's not directed at me. It's just in my vicinity. Like it's in my space. So if they need to let loose, let me have it. Pretend I'm them. Let me have it.
And guys, make sure you have that. If it's a therapist, fine. If it's a coach, fine. But have something that's private, that won't blow up in your face. It won't affect your career, your custody, or anything like that. It's really important. I wish I would have done it. I mean, I didn't. I made, I mean, part of the reasons why I probably ultimately stepped down is because of the damage I did to myself because I couldn't keep my mouth shut. And it wasn't like I was just bashing the ex. I was just talking about my situation and how crazy it was.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense.
Oh, it doesn't. I thought I was losing my mind.
Yeah.
So
none of it makes any sense.
We got one caller left. Should we go to the caller?
Yes, please.
All right. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Good, good. Just finishing up something here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm just getting a coffee. Just give me 1 second. So,
perfect timing.
I just want to let you guys know that can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. I watch you guys all the time. I just wanted to let you guys know you're doing a great job. And I was able to, get a hold of a lot of your material before leaving the residence, before the divorce actually took action.
Can it be $5? I don't have kids. I have one.
So I was able to start getting evidence before I left this family residence.
No, I already opened. So I saw your.
Hey man, just so you know, your microphone is picking up everyone in the background like they're, you know, sitting in your lap. So the person in the background is really loud.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I was on hold for a while, so I just ran into a storm.
Yeah, sorry about that. Do you want to ask a question real quick, and then I can roll your volume down so we can address it while you're finishing what you're doing? Do you have a quick question?
All right, so yeah, I mean, one of the things I was going to get to is that the good thing is that I was recently rewarded, temporary residential custody of my daughter.
Outstanding.
Now it's temporary, and we go back to court very shortly here. However, I'm just trying to, navigate this whole thing properly, and there's a lot of the callers are talking about how to deal with things in the light of staying positive and, finding outlets that can help us. And I encourage everybody to do that.
Yeah.
I agree that that's something that definitely helps ease a lot of the tension. So my question would be, I guess, on these family apps, I think that's something that I want to start incorporating. And I didn't want to use some of them because I wasn't sure what was going to be able to work with. And I'll have to look into them a little bit deeper on which one I want to use. But I think that's a big help with putting a case together. But I also was discouraged by one of them, which it said that certain things could not be deleted. So if I'm brainstorming, I didn't want to put anything in there that I could possibly not be able to remove.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's the case, but if you guys had any experience with using them and had they been beneficial to you, that would be something that I'd like to know more about. And I know you mentioned it earlier, so you kind of did bring it up today, so I appreciate that as well. And what else? I'm just trying not to make too many moves, and sometimes I don't really respond and I've learned that from you guys, but at the same time, I also want to be proactive in the area of just being able to respond with what's needed, but also protecting myself, because a lot of these things can be, a text can come through and it could be something I'm just like, this is totally out of left field. Like, I probably don't need to respond, but I can respond to just be able to diffuse it and say, like, hey, look, I did respond, and it was just, it could be maybe I just need to just use no more, like, hey, no, I don't agree. No, we're not going to have that conversation. Like,
right.
Keep it, simple there, I guess.
Okay. I got it. So, all right, we could, I wrote down, the use of apps for communication. I wanted to touch a little bit on the temporary custody of your daughter and responding during litigation. Like how do you deal with hybrid no contact whenever you're actually in the midst of all this?
And then also,
yeah,
and then also the false allegations. Obviously, they've been going on, and a few judges and they were prior to me, leaving the family residence. I finally got to the point where I was like, look, I can't live with false allegations,
right?
And also with the nonsense that was going on and the energy that was in the house, I did see it start to affect, my youngest one, and that was like ultimately, I'm like, I kind of got to save myself here to save the face of everybody involved, and I still see the, the way that my daughter reacts to certain behaviors around, even when she's not around me and mom. So I'm working on that stuff with her. But, the allegations, I guess they're always going to be, and then you just never know. Like, it always keeps you on. It's just their way of just keeping those eggshells,
Oh,
going.
yeah, absolutely.
It's just always, because I'm like, I want mom to see the daughter, but I'm like, she just comes out of left field, like, I'm going to be there in an hour. And I'm like, you gotta give me more time than that, but I don't not want you to see her. And then it's like, well, now she's pissed off. She's willing to do, or maybe now she's, I got this temporary order thing. Now she's got to have a play, right? Now she's going to have another play, and you just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
No,
you're
but
right.
The allegations went in front of the judge a few times, and the judge basically said, "Hey, there's really nothing here. And by the way, since he can provide the education, because mom couldn't, she got caught up in some of her I don't want to get into detail too much, but basically she got caught up in not being able to provide the education, where it was supposed to be taking place. So that was basically what the judge looked at. And, he looked at the case and he basically said, here's a fit gentleman. Are you able to put your daughter in the school district that you live in? I said, absolutely. And that was basically, but, she's looking down at all the pages and he's just like,
well, and I think
with giving me what I need.
Well, and the fact, because kind of the temporary orders, I think, roll in with the false allegations. What you're seeing is the family court system seeing the games that are being played, and to try to, and especially as a temporary thing, right? It's like it sounds like the judge is trying to do a wake up call, saying, "Hey, we're going to temporarily do this because you're playing these stupid games." They can't say it that way. But that's the thing. And the reality is, caller, it sounds like, This
was also ex parte. It was also one of ex parte.
Yours was ex parte, or what your ex did, it was ex parte?
She did it ex parte.
Wait a minute. She did this ex parte, and the judge at that hearing basically, so you were able to hear about it, so you showed up? Is that what happened? And then he gave you temporary custody?
Yeah, it was basically, she had 24 hours to serve me with this ex parte nonsense. I was illegally served. I wasn't legally served, but I was aware of it. So we showed up the next morning with counsel.
Oh my God.
Basically it was like, I'm still like, in La La Land with that one, but she kind of just did it to her. She did it to
herself. No, but see, that's the thing is, until these people get a consequence for their action, and that's a big one. Dude, I'm sitting here listening to this and it's like, holy crap. She tried to do an end run around you. She tried to use a silver bullet,
let me tell you, though,
and it blew up in her face.
Leading up to all that, it's very important, like you say, that to follow what you guys tell us and to be very careful about, not getting upset and just being prevailing, even though you're, but it is funny, and hopefully it can continue. But my attorney's like, look, we're very successful today, but it doesn't mean that we're always going to be in front of this judge. So there is the reality of that. So
no, and that's the sad part with these people. Hopefully you'll get into a situation where she'll back off and just realize, oh crap, this is too dangerous, so I'm not going to play these games. They'll find other games. Don't get me wrong. Don't ever think that a toxic, narcissistic person that plays these type of games is going to one day decide that they're not going to play games anymore. They may be dormant. They may wait a while, but they will always be scheming for anything they could take advantage for their own personal gain. It's a sad reality. Your attorney's right, but also you need to embrace and at least enjoy the, I say enjoy the victory. The problem is this is all devastating. This all sucks. It sucks for you. It sucks for the kids. It sucks. There's not really a victory, but the fact that the system is starting to see through it is a victory, so embrace that. Did you want to add anything, Les?
I just can't. I love these stories when they get their comeuppance.
Yeah.
But they won't quit, and it could be 20 years down the road that they come back.
Yeah.
It could be 20 years. They could be scheming because they're always watching, right? That's the terrifying part. They're always watching.
So the sad reality,
we have to leave the goddamn country to get away from them.
The sad reality is, and this is where, when going back to what you were talking about with the with the apps, when you're dealing with someone like this, having a structured way for communications is good. Yeah. And I didn't get that when I didn't understand this when I got my divorce decree, and it was optional. It was like, the parties the parties can continue to use email, or they might want to use Our Family Wizard. It should have been ordered. And the reason I say that is because at least then it's less likely for them to play games with it, because I guarantee you, otherwise it'll be like, oh, I didn't get your email. Oh, I didn't get your text. Oh, I didn't, oh, you sent me something, there's always going to be games with it. And if you're dealing with somebody who is ramping things up like yours has, to the point that they're lighting themselves on fire, probably having a plan, a long-term plan to have things documented will be beneficial to you. And to go back in with, well, what do I put, if I can't delete things, if you know that everything you say will absolutely be available to the court system, and Judge Phillips or whatever, Judge Smith will be looking at it, sometimes that's enough to help you curb your responses, right? To whereas on a text, you might just say something inflammatory, and then you end up like a previous caller who, that gets cherry picked and put up in front of a court. And, now you're sitting there trying to explain why you told them to go to hell 6 months ago on a text with no context.
Yeah.
Right. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree.
The other thing did you want to add anything on that, Les, before because I also wanted to hit his responding during litigation.
Yeah, no. I think you nailed it.
Okay. So the thing on, and I'll say, like, for hybrid no contact, I always say, sometimes you don't need to answer, but I always say there's a caveat when you're in the middle of litigation. If you're in the middle of litigation and you don't respond, your ex is going to turn around and say that you won't communicate with them. So sometimes they might send you a page or a long text saying you're a piece of crap and outlining why you're garbage. Typically, I would say ignore that because there's no reason to answer it. But find something in there that you need to answer, and answer it just so you say, like as simple as you said, you could say, if it's in an email, dear X, comma, I do not agree with what you're saying, and please direct all communications through the attorneys since you're still in litigations, Bill, right? And so that way you're responding, you're not just ignoring them. But at the same time, do not take the bait and systematically respond to every line item that they put down there. And a lot of times we feel like we need to, but don't do it. Don't take the bait.
Yeah, I take the bait too many other ways. I don't necessarily do it anymore through the written stuff. I can usually read through that. It's the mind games that I'm still, working out.
It's hard. People don't understand how hard this really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it's hard, but the more that you're, being in it, like when you're physically in, I have to have contact with them. When you start to have that separation, it does get a lot easier.
Yeah.
So, I don't think I would have did well if I stayed in, marital home.
Oh no.
It wasn't going well, but even just for the mindset of being positive and being able to know that it's just another day. We're gonna get through whatever it is. It's really not. It's serious, but it's really, as long as we're not tripping ourselves up, we're probably gonna be all right.
Yeah. Copy that. All right. Did we cover everything you wanted to cover?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing you just brought up about being in litigation. Can you just clarify for me what you mean by that? So what, is that when your divorce is not completely finalized yet? Or
whenever you have
temporary orders?
What I would say is if your divorce decree was done and you had final orders and, your attorneys were basically saying, okay, it's over. I'm going to sign out of this and we're done. You pay your bill and we're done. That's when things are at the point, because you're not active. You being with a temporary custody order and all this stuff, you are in the middle of it, right? And I would even say, even if let's say you're at for me, I'm at the point where, like today, I'm at the point where there's no litigation or anything going on, right? I mean, I've been basically stable for like the last, 7-8 years. If I got served something tomorrow, then I would change how I do my hybrid no contact. I would start, if the ex sent me something, I would respond, where now on certain things I don't respond, I would respond if it was active. And that's what I mean by that. Because what's going to happen is if you're active in it and in litigation in family court, and they will absolutely turn around and say, well, Billy won't co-parent. I sent 900 emails and he won't even acknowledge one of them, right? And then it's going to be like, well, Mr. Bill, why are you not doing that? What is your problem? And then you don't want it to look like you're, you are playing games. So if they send, if your ex sends, a 3-page diatribe and you respond with 1 or 2 words, let her, blah, spitting all over the page, her verbal diarrhea, sink her story and don't jump into it. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I mean by that.
Sure.
All righty.
Yeah. Thanks for taking the call.
Hey, thanks, man. One thing I just want to say on that is, a lot of times, you go through this and you start having little victories. Like he's starting to have little victories, mm-hmm. but you can still feel like you're losing because you're in such stress and paranoia on it. Yeah. It's hard. I've had a lot of conversations with people who feel like they're losing. I'm not saying he was saying that, but I've had other conversations with people where they're like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. It's losing. And I start going down like, okay, what's going on? What is the judge saying? What's happening? And I'm like, holy crap, dude. You are really lined up well. And a lot of them have ended up getting, basically full custody. And it's like, it's amazing because you get so set up in the potential for defeat that you don't even see, you don't even see the positive that's going on. I fell into that category. I hurt myself because I thought I was going to lose. And when people were trying to tell me, hey, things aren't, you're doing really well, I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, well, because it's not just that. I feel because it's not just what's happening in court. It's happened everything underneath. It's happened everything before. It's everything throughout the marriage. It's like I've been shit on every single step of the way. God. This is not a win, but it is.
Yeah.
But it is. At the end of the day, it is. So take the little ones. Yeah.
Take the little victories. Hey, one thing I wanted to mention, I had one of my people bring this up. Hold on. Oh man, we didn't even get to some of the other documents we were going to do. Oh well. Let me go to.
Have to do a take 2.
Hey, there you go. Exactly. So I'm going to pull this up real quick just for my folks. I do have a DSD, Dads Surviving Divorce Discord. If you go to the main page, the icon, which one is it? Oh crap, I didn't want to do that. I just hit the wrong button. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Is it that one? No, it's PayPal. This one over on the right. Sorry, my eyes can't see it. That's a Discord invite link. Discord is a standalone service that allows you to chat with other people. If you find what I'm doing and this community helpful, there's a group of people it's a lot better than Facebook and stuff. So I would recommend you check that out. I think I moved. Well, I showed your page in the beginning, didn't I? I'll try to pull that back up.
Yep.
So anything else you want to hit while I'm trying to pull your stuff up?
No, we've hit so much today. We've covered quite a lot. Now, I did see a comment about the, I don't know her last name. I know it. I just can't pronounce it. Gabby and Brian. What happened there?
Oh, Patillo and Laundrie.
Yeah, that's it. And the things like how he essentially got away with driving away with her in that car for the final destination is just horrendous. I haven't really dug into it just because my time is very, it's very, very limited right now. So I've been wanting to because man, oh man, that poor girl. And the fact that he's on the run is like, well, dude, come on. Like,
well, and then you take that whole, the original police video before she was found.
Yeah. Problem.
I mean, she's admitting to hitting him. He's saying he's defending himself. Yeah. I mean, there was, then later it's coming out where there's different stories and stuff. I mean, it's horrible. The whole thing is horrible. I mean, even if, the cops should have arrested somebody, even if they arrested her.
Yeah. Just to get her away from there.
Right. I mean, if they would have just said, okay, you know what, you admit hitting, there's marks on this guy. If they would have done that and she would have called her family, somebody probably would have flown out and taken her home. I'm just that story is so.
It's so sad.
So
So
horrible.
sad. Yeah, but I'll take a look at it. I'm going to watch some of my favorite crime YouTubers and
See what's going on with it.
see what's going on. I'm just trying to limit my my negativity intake right now
Oh, I hear you.
as well.
I hear you on that one.
So yeah, I'm spread thin, but it is a very important case, a very, very important case. And if you have the time and the bandwidth and the stomach for it, then yeah.
So if
Go
you
ahead.
guys want to support Leslee, then you can go and search for SEC, Spiritually Empowered Coaching. Go ahead and subscribe to her channel. She's got a lot of great information. And do you link to your other channels on that?
I
Or
do
not?
at the end. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll, in my description box, all my other channels. So the podcast and the other channel are,
And you do the podcast with Stevie, right?
I do. Yes.
So yeah, that's a lot of great discussions there, guys. So check it out, support her stuff.
Yeah.
On that, I want to say thank you for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. A great discussion.
Thank you.
And
Yeah,
I'm gonna-
thank you for having me. It's been so much fun. We haven't done this in so long.
And just so everybody knows, I took another day. I mean, Monday, was a holiday for me. I went ahead and took this day off, and I figured, Leslie and I haven't been able to God, we haven't done a collaboration in probably 2 years now. It's been a long time.
Because the last time we actually were on stream together was for Stevie's charity stream.
Oh, that
This
was
time
probably a
last
year.
year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you and I doing something has probably been over 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you.
right.
I enjoyed every second of it.
I
And
did
thank you
too.
so
It's
much
good
to your
discussion.
chat.
I hope
goodness.
everyone enjoyed that. But I'm going to go ahead and do my rollout here. So thanks everybody for hanging out with us today. And I also want to thank the channel members who helped make this happen, who so graciously scrolled down and hit the join button. The names are scrolling over there on the screen. Thank you guys so much. It keeps the lights on, keeps the internet moving and all that stuff. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, if you're dealing with somebody with this with false allegations, this video helped give you some ideas on how to deal with it. And I'll catch you on the next video.